because it's already crashed me twice, Redig. So I'm like, just leave Skype alone.
All right,
It
so
stays
we
private.
are live now, but it's at a different link. So I'm going to share this other link. Thank you, everybody,
Okay.
for your patience while we figure out how to use computers and the internet. So I'm going to put this link, I'm going to share this link with you guys, and then we will post it.
What? We're on a different feed now?
So you're fine where you're at. Just stay where you're at.
New YouTube link from
A
my
new YouTube link
understanding.
for everybody.
Oh,
So
I'm going to have to
okay.
post that up in several places.
Yeah.
And that's all right. So
Where's
I'm going to put it in the comments on this thing. So stand by.
That'll help.
All right, I'll get ready to do my part.
You post it in the chat, then I'll post it up all my stuff.
All right, hang on. Shh.
So I'm glad Matt's leading the charge on this. I'm just getting to sit here and watch. Like, this is great.
It's great, right?
Normally I'm in Matt's position freaking out.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure there's probably people on
at
here.
the time, Reddit got like 200 people registered for a webinar with me, and then my internet quit working, and so I had to go to a coffee shop, and I was doing it at a coffee shop, and the only spot they had was in the sun, and so it was right over the building, hitting the top of my, like this much of my,
and messing up the exposure.
and it overheated the computer in the
man.
webinar when he had like, I think it was 100 people, almost 100 people.
Get out. Did you really?
Yeah, that's how many you had on there. And it overheated, restarted, and I had to jump back in. I gave up webinars after that day. That's it. I'm done with that.
Man.
I'm done.
I'm just getting it down now. I'm
so
just
tough.
now, years into the game.
It's
okay.
I mean, I do it all the time with the students, right? And that's totally different because it's a controlled environment, and I'd use Zoom if I was going to do webinars. I'd never go to anything else now. It's so stable.
All right, so I found the new link.
All right.
I don't do all this fancy stuff Matt's doing broadcasting everywhere, though.
I found the live.
You got it, James? Is it in the conversation? Where is it at?
No, I just went to Matt's YouTube channel, and you can see the live feed, just Matt there by himself.
Yeah.
Oh.
So let me send this link to you guys real quick. Okay. All right. So
I see.
thank you guys so much for your patience while we get this whole crazy business figured out with all the internets and all that jazz. My name is Matthew Allen with AdjusterTV, and we thought it'd be a really cool idea to jump on live. I'm going to send that other link out. The other link should be in the chat on the other thing.
Yeah, got it.
Anyway, so we decided we wanted to, because of the quarantine and because of everybody's got to shelter in place and self-isolate and all that jazz, we thought it would be really, really cool to get together some more experienced guys to just kind of do like a roundtable live chat, have a cocktail maybe, my wife didn't see that, and answer your questions and just kind of shoot the breeze and just talk about claims and kind of what we know about what's going on right now and like share our experiences about, where we've been in the past and stories and whole 9 yards. We'll be here for an hour, 2 or 3, maybe, I guess, just, however long it lasts. So anyway, my name's Matt.
Until my wife says I have to go to bed.
Yeah, right, exactly. I'm the founder of AdjusterTV, and I started AdjusterTV because I was hoping to kind of combine my passion with claims, with video production, and also maybe try to help some new folks, because I know that the new folks always have a lot of questions. So trying to collaborate with a lot of other people in the field, other content creators like Jeremy and Chris, and James has got his own YouTube channel. And so here we are, and it's been 2 years since I've had this, and a lot of things have changed over those years, but it's been a cool ride, and I'm looking forward to a lot more of it. So the rest of you guys, Chris, if you want to go ahead and jump in and kind of give your bio and introduce yourself.
Well, what's going on, everybody? My name is Chris Stanley. I'm the founder of IAPath, and what we do at IAPath is we help independent adjusters and auto damage appraisers get started in their career in 90 days, and that's our goal, and that's the roadmap that we give you to be able to do. And the reason I got started is very similar to Matt's. There was just not enough information online about how to get started in an auto claims career, and that was my background. Unlike these other titans, Redig and Jeremy Shaw, and Jeremy Redig, and then Matthew Allen and Goodness, Jason Heenan. There's the word I'm looking for. And Jason Heenan, who all have all this property experience and are just, massive figures in the industry of the success they've had. I was like this little guy off in the corner who had done some auto stuff. And no one was talking about how you could start an auto and it wasn't quite as competitive because I didn't have to fight with these guys for property claims. And so I just started talking about it. And, here we are 3.5 years later and just keep talking about it. So, Reddick, why don't you go ahead, man?
Yeah, man. And I think, Chris, did we agree that we both actually got started? You started IA Path around the same time I started Adjuster University?
I think it was like the same month. It was we were freaky close.
It was close.
Time.
Yeah, and I think what we did, we started our own paths for similar reasons, just like how you explained. There's just, at that point, I guess, at this point, it's been a few years, the resources online were limited. I know now these days, there's us here, and there's a few other people that aren't with us right now that are doing something similar to that, similar to what we do. I mean, we've been in this niche that nobody has heard of, that nobody's been talking about. It's just you hear about it from a friend of a friend. And I started Adjuster University at the very beginning. I started it was like a blog. And then that kind of slowly started to evolve into something larger, adjusting to six figures. That was my blog. And it all came from the same thing. It all came from a lack of awareness and a lack of educational resources that were out there at that time, and like towards the end of 2016. So I started adjusting to six figures, a blog. Then, and I think if you guys remember, I had an adjuster shop. Had these all these other different things that I was trying to bring into the adjusting world. But the core of what I do at AdjusterUniversity.com is to teach adjusters. We're moving to getting people to find out about the independent adjusting industry. But ever since my start, my whole shtick has been to teach people how to become a better independent insurance adjuster by acting more as a business and more as a freelancer than anything else. Because the one thing that I've noticed running an online business is that people who get into the independent adjusting industry, they kind of have this thought that, they're usually like an employee. They're coming from a job. Then they move over to this and they kind of treat it the same way. They think that people are just going to start handing them claims and they're just going to do well at it. Meanwhile, I mean, it's just like any other freelance industry. I mean, you really have to know how to work efficiently and know how to sell yourself and your services in order to get ahead in this game. And then but the sad part is when you don't get that, when somebody's not there to teach you and you just don't know that ahead of time, then you think that, well, technology's taking over, or, there's, nobody's hiring, I always say it, nobody's taking on people with no experience, and, fee scales are going down and all, whatever you got to say to rationalize, why you kind of suck, so. But that
leave it to Reddick to speak plainly right here.
Yes.
Yeah, so true, man.
Yeah.
So true.
So James, what do you think, man? So I guess, yeah, you're up. What do you why don't you introduce yourself?
Well, I'm James Mathis, and I don't have near the credentials as these three guys have. I'm here for the ride, basically. I was walking down the street one day, and Matt Allen drove by, and he says, "Hey, man, you want to ride?" And we started this conversation, and that's how we ended up here today. So, no, so actually, what's going on is, I'm relatively new to the business. I've been around insurance. I've been around, construction and cars and everything else. And like a lot of people, I was pretty much just sick of the grind. Sick of corporate America, sick of being told what to do. I've worked for myself for many years, but I ended up back as an employee, and I said, I'm done with this. And
yeah.
So I was researching what I was going to do and how I was going to go about what I was going to do next with life. I've been lucky enough in my life. I've done a lot of things. I've been in a position and had the attitude that, nothing's permanent and you can do whatever you want to do. Don't get stuck in a job. Chase your dreams. And the only way you can really chase your dreams, and I'm going to say this, I'm going to get all soppy here, is if you don't have the right people around you that support you while you're doing that, find other people to hang around.
Right.
I mean, and I've got a great wife who just really encourages me to. Just turn in the background. So she.
You're a nice setup. I like that.
Well, and the truth is that this is an actual conversation that happened one day. She goes, James, you're really good at making money, but you really suck at being happy. And so go chase something to be happy. And so I decided I wanted to become an insurance adjuster. Did a lot of research. Found Matt. Started drinking from his fire hydrant. And all the stuff that he had. Just watching all his videos and. Like, all right, stuff makes sense. And then had an opportunity to meet Matt, and that was a pretty cool experience. To this day, he regrets it. And through that experience, I, got started. And then I injured myself. I slipped on a roof and had to have knee surgery. And I was like, well, what am I going to do now? And saw some of Chris Stanley's videos on Matt's channel, and next thing you know, I'm taking classes from Chris. And and I was addicted, man. I mean, I love property. I love auto, love both of it. So now my goal today is to share with people what I've done and how I've succeeded in this business. I was very lucky early on that I had some success. I did some things that other people aren't willing to do. If you'll go to my YouTube channel, you'll see that I lived in a small travel trailer, went out to West Texas where I knew there was work rather than sit around Dallas-Fort Worth and beg for scraps. I went to West Texas, worked a lot. Sacrificed and made a name for myself. Now I'm back home in Dallas-Fort Worth and I work every day.
Yeah, I think.
Whereas I get noticed.
I think James he's a kind of a testament to, he got started. You got started, James. Things were a little slow, to be quite honest, and you're a little bit of a testament to somebody who has been able to kind of convert in sort of a low, like a low opportunity sort of situation. Because as you guys know. And I'm sure everybody who's watching this has an idea that this can be a bit feast or famine, right? I mean, it definitely can go up, and it can definitely go down. We have really, really slow years and slow times where not a whole lot happens. But the folks that do really well are the ones who, like Jeremy was saying, you've got an efficient workflow. You figure out how to be faster. You are basically a business, and the more efficient you can be. And when I say faster, I don't really mean like moving super fast, like running faster around a house or whatever, but you're just taking less time to do every part of your process.
Right.
And everybody that learns this job learns that once you get past Xactimate training and you get past, getting your licenses or learning how to use auto software and learning how to scope and all that, the light switch that goes off for people, the ones who stay in it, is it's like the time management part, the efficiency part, I'm only going to make, if I'm only closing 3 property claims a day on a cat, I'm just not going to make very good money. And it's not worth it, right? It's to travel all that way and to, climb roofs and do all that stuff for 3 claims a day. You want to be like 6, 7, 8 claims a day, and it's not like you're going faster, speed wise, or you're doing harder work. You're just doing everything a little bit faster, everything a little bit in less time, right? So with that, I've got, we've all got a bunch of questions, and you guys watching this, feel free to jump in and ask questions in the chat. We'll hit some of these questions that we got earlier first, and then we'll scroll through the chat and find stuff and then kind of hit those, and we'll just kind of roll with it. So first question I have here is from LinkedIn, and it's from a gentleman by the name of Marvin Lyle Morris, and he asks, you guys are gonna love this one, and not all of us here are parents. So what are he says 3 to 5 tips, but just pick 1 or 2 or 3, whatever. 3 to 5 tips on being a great spouse and parent while working as a cat adjuster. In other words, how do you provide the love and responsibilities of a husband and father while spending so much time away from home? Chris?
I knew you were going to do that.
Well, you're the only one. Well, I guess, James, you've got kids. You don't have kids, Jeremy, do you?
I got 3 of them.
Oh, you have 3? Okay. I'm the only guy with no kids. So you guys take this one. If I can add anything.
I've got kids. I've got kids too. So.
All right. I guess then you guys want to just all give our input on this?
Yeah, I'll go first. Basically, for me, it's really tough because I'm very fortunate in the situation that my family was able to travel with me everywhere. We made the decision pretty early on that if they couldn't go with me, 99 out of 100 times I wouldn't go.
That's because
it was It was like, no, we got into this for a lifestyle. And I talk a lot about this when helping people decide if this is a good career for them, because, you know, Jeremy and everybody here would testify to the fact that this isn't for everybody. This career is not, and it's hard to be successful, and there's sacrifices you got to make. But at the very beginning, the most powerful thing you can do when deciding is this right for you is knowing why you're doing it. If you're doing it to make $300,000 a year, as Reddick says, and then just get fat and be miserable, that's not a good reason. Money doesn't solve any of the problems you think you have or you legitimately have. You have to know your deep down reason why this is something you want to do, and it's got to be based on something other than money. And so for us, it was family. We wanted more time with family, so that's kind of how we just evolved our thing. But most people, and we were fortunate, and we trimmed our life down to where our expenses were minimal. So if we made $40,000, even as a cat adjuster, we could survive just barely. And so at the very beginning, if you're looking about being a spouse doing this, it's like, set your limits. Okay, I'm willing for you to be gone 3 weeks. I'm willing for you to be gone this long, or 2 weeks at a time, or whatever it is. But know what you're willing to do, and more importantly, what you're not willing to do, and don't let that line move. That'd be what I'd say.
Yeah.
Jeremy?
That's James, you want to go?
No, Jeremy, I want to hear about you and your 3 kids.
Well, all right. So, being a good spouse and a good parent. So, as you guys know, I took some time off, and a big part of that goes on something that you had said, Matt, and that is to surround yourself with people that are going to be a positive influence on you. And so I went through a time where I was realizing that, I was in an unhealthy household, and that unhealthy household, I'm sure, was partially because of the fact that I was working a lot. Family of 5, including myself. Before that, I was a family of 4. And so, I'm the breadwinner of the family. So, and you know what? It's also important, if there's anybody that's watching this and you're new to adjusting, or even just thinking about getting into adjusting, depending on what you did before. So let's say before you got involved in this, you're, maybe you're like me, a bartender, or you're a school teacher. You're making like $35,000 a year, $40,000 a year, something like that. And, you've got your debt, and you've got all these things, and you're dying to get out of it. You just want to get out of it. Then you find this adjusting thing, and you get into adjusting. The next thing you know, you're doing okay. You're starting to make money. You're whether it's auto or property, you're starting to make more money than you're used to. And you could have that little bit, that greed gene that's in there. And it's like, man, I could do this. I could get better at this. I could make more money. I made $35,000 last year. I'm going to make that this month. And you're just going and going and going. Meanwhile, you have a wife, or you have a girlfriend, or a husband, and they're there somewhere in the background. And you just get so caught up with making all this money because it's there. It's almost like the feast or famine idea, but now you're feasting and you just don't know when to stop. And it's usually, it could take years before you realize how fat you've really gotten from just working and working and working. Meanwhile, you've got kids that are getting older. You've got the wife, or you got the husband that's liking you less and less every day. And it's tough. It's very tough to be a good spouse or parent when that's your day-to-day. If your day-to-day is to live like how I promote, to make as much money as you can and put up these crazy numbers, if you have a family, it's going to be very hard. And so to answer the question, you have to make time. You just have to set walls and make the time to, even if it means, and this is what I've done. I've gone as far as to just schedule in my time with my family. I mean, because I live and die by my calendar, and if it's not in my calendar, I'll find some other stuff to work on. So I have certain times where it's no matter what, that's the time I spend. That's the time I spend with my kids. That's the time, I spend with my loved ones, and there's no negotiation. If I run out of work at another time, I could go over there, but no matter what, I have certain times in my calendar that's the calendar you spend. And if you're out on cat If I think Chris, that's the best way to live, right there, where they're coming with you or you're not going at all. Most likely, that's the best way. And if you can get away with that, absolutely do that. But if you can't get away with that, do yourself a favor. I mean, you got whether it's Skype, Zoom, and especially like what I did on the last storm, Michael. A part of you're out. What you have to understand too, if you're out on cat, you're making great money. Everybody knows that. You're making fantastic money. And you want to make that money so bad that the idea of flying out for just a day, spending like $300-400 on a flight just to take you from, New Orleans, Louisiana, wherever the storm hit, back home to wherever you're at, a couple $100 just to get there every week. Yeah, your schedule's going to suck. It's going to be exhausting. You got to get on some, disgusting tube filled with germs every week. But man, if you do your cats the right way and you're there for months at a time, you don't get those months back. That's
so true, man.
You don't get those months back. And when you come back, your son's going to be a little bit older, and man, it takes a piece away from you every time. And you don't want to do that. There's a lot of people in this industry right now that'll tell you that it's impossible to get in there. To get in the cat side and not miss out on those important days while you have a kid. You don't want to be those people. Spend the money, fix it into your budget, and make sure that you're there. If you can't be there 7 days a week, make sure you're there at least one day,
For real, yeah. And I'll just I'll kind of riff off of that a little bit. So I've been an adjuster since 1999. I got into it when I was in my late 20s, and I was single. And it's like you said, Jeremy. I mean, it was like once it clicked, that little thing that clicked earlier, like I was talking about, that was also a little bit of you're calling it a greed gene, but it was like a
green gene. I would call it
gene or green gene. I would call it like an ambition gene. It was like I was like, oh my gosh, I could do really well.
Yeah.
So and then what happened is like, and again, I mean, we all have this similar experience, especially if you ran cattle for a long time by yourself. And that is that you look up like 7 months later and it's kids who are in costumes and they've got their, their Halloween candy and stuff. Yep. Right. And you left to go on cat in March. Right. And you've been in the hotel that whole time. You've been working literally 7 days a week, actual from March until October, 7 days, every single day. But you're like smiling all day long. You're up at, you're on the roof. The sun's coming up. You're watching the sunrise from the roof, and you're watching the sunset from the roof, right?
Yeah.
Because you know that your checking account is just like filling up with cash because you're busy, right? And year after year after year after year, I did that for so many years until finally I was like, I put the brakes on the whole thing back in about 2011. I said, I'm just going to take a break. And I called the firms I was working for. I said, take me off the active list, which I'd never done before. And I just took a break. And of course, when I did that, then I met my wife and then, a whole bunch of different things.
Start living your life.
I started living my life after, 12 years of being just only in the field, just giving all those years, I gave them to the storm, to the cat. And now, so, Dee Marie and I, we full-time in our, well, we're not currently, but we usually have been full-timing in an RV. So she'd just come with me, right? And she does file review stuff remotely. So we're both in it, right? But
does she review your own files?
Yeah. No. So the guy that signs the reviews.
Not in a way better story.
I've been trying to get that set up.
No. But we would be doing it for the same company though. So, but they wouldn't assign when they assign the file reviews. They make sure not to do that because. But so yeah, we don't have kids yet or anything. But James, you want to weigh in on this one?
So for me, my kids are older. So we have the situation where we have mine and hers and his and mine type situation. And mine are, my oldest son is 23 and my stepson is 25 and my daughter is a sophomore. How old is she now? 20, I think, something like that. And she was born a long time ago. That's all I know. And then I have a stepdaughter who's still in high school. But, for me, the focus is mainly being a good spouse, and as far as the kids go, mine were older already. So, missing that time. Now, just because my daughter's older and she's in college, so she has things going on that I need to be involved with. I mean, moving her into her dorm, moving her out of her dorm, coming down for special weekends, things like that. And you have to make that time. There's nothing so important that you can't find that time. And that's what I made sure that whenever I first came in this business and I went out to West Texas and lived in my trailer, I made sure that I baked in that time that I came home on the weekends. And I just kind of looked at what I was doing and how I was going to work it. And I did it. Now, I wasn't working CAT. I was working dailies remote, but I made sure that I got time home with my spouse. I mean, I married her for a reason, because I kind of like her. And hopefully she still likes me most days. But as long as she likes me most days, I'm winning. But that's what it is for me. So, I don't have small kids, so I can't really speak to that. But I do have older kids that do still require that time. And I love my kids. I love my stepkids. I like spending time with them. Sometimes they think I don't like them as much as the others, but, it's just what it is. But anyway, life is life, man, and you just have to make that time. But it is possible because I have a neighbor that lives across the street from me who is a CAT adjuster for State Farm.
Get out.
Yeah.
Just randomly? You got
Yeah, we just moved in this house last September, man, and dude lives right catty corner from me. And, and we talked about that, and he says, what you make time for what's important.
Right.
And you prioritize your things. And when he's out of town and he knows he has to get out of town for a while, those first few weeks of a CAT, he's got to be gone. He can't come home those first couple of weeks. But, but if it's important, he lets the supervisor know, I'm going, but I will be home for this. And he makes that time. Yeah. I don't know how that works for everybody else, but obviously it works for him somehow.
Yeah,
that's all I got.
Yeah, you got to make the time.
Yeah, big time. Okay, so second question I got, and then after we answer this one, then we can, if you guys have some questions from your communities, we can definitely jump on those. So, okay, so Ashley Gomez from Facebook says, how do you handle people who are upset when their claims are denied? Can you share an experience you had and how you handled it? Now I'll start this one because I've got one that this is the one I always go to because I think it's, when you think about having to deny a claim, it's like everybody's first reaction, my first reaction, and at least it used to be in particular before I kind of had a few things that I figured out, that there's instant anxiety, right? So you're instantly like, this is going to be hard. I'm going to be saying no to this person. They may have tens of thousands of dollars of damage in their basement, but they don't have the endorsement that covers it. And usually it's water claims, right? That this is a thing on, and it's usually on CAT. Right? But I mean, daily is the same way. I mean, most of the claims that you're going to handle, that people handle on daily, are going to be water claims. So I had a claim once, and it was kind of like a perfect storm of things that just all went wrong at the same time. So I have a paper system that I've been using since, forever. And I would write
before computers, we know.
Right? But I would use
he called me grandpa the other day.
And a read, and I would make so I would write the date and time and the day of the appointment in the upper right-hand corner of my loss report. I print out all the loss reports, take notes on them, whatever, as I'm on the phone with the person, write their appointment on there, check it off when it's confirmed, and then that's the thing that I stick on my clipboard along with my graph paper when I go to the house. So it's been foolproof. But I wrote down, I put my 4 and my 9. I was writing really fast, and I got them mixed up. And so I show up at this guy's house at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I knock on the door, and I'm smiling or whatever, and I got my clipboard, and got my shirt on and everything, and my camera, and I'm ready to adjust his claim. And he's like, yes, and I'm like, hey, it's Matt, with your insurance company. I'm just here. And his face started turning bright red. He was like, where have you been, man? You were supposed to be here at 9. So my 9, so I got I was like, and I looked at my sheet, and I was like, my face turned white, and his face is turning purple. And I was like, listen, I am so sorry. I made it. This is no excuse for this, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I'm trying to back out of it. And he's like, my kid's here. He's having his birthday party. And his kids are 5. There's a bunch of kids running around or whatever. And there's the neighbors and the kids' parents and stuff. And they're all on the back deck. I can see through the house. And I was like, I don't, listen, we'll reschedule at your convenience whenever you want to do this. Tomorrow morning, 8 a.m., I'll be here on the dots for sure. And he's like, no, man, you're here. Let's just do this. And I was like, well,
All
okay,
right,
then.
let's go.
Right. So in we go. And he's got the sewer and drain backup endorsement. This is a water claim, right?
Okay.
We go down into his basement, and number one, he doesn't have a sump pump. And number two, the floor drain in the basement is in this end of the house, and it's a completely finished basement. The other end of the basement, I was like, so, all right, so I'm like looking for the utility room as we're coming down the stairs, and I'm like peeking around the corner. I see the utility room, and I start to head towards it. I'm like, all right, so show me where the water came in. Because you got to know, on a claim like that, you have to know where the source is, whether it's covered or not.
Right.
And he's like, follow me. And he's going the opposite direction. And I was like, okay. And so we get to the other end of the house. It's in this living room. And he's got all this nice leather furniture and everything. And there's fans all over the place, and it stinks. He's like, well, it came in underneath that wall over there, I think. I'm pretty sure.
Good. Yeah.
And I was like, oh. I was like, well, where's your sump pump at? Right. So so basically, to kind of like wrap this up a little bit, he ended up, by the end of this whole thing, he had me like insisted that I was out on the back porch, like shaking hands with all his kids' parents and everything. And he's trying to get me to eat a sandwich, a burger off the grill, and he's trying to hand me a beer and all that stuff. And the reason why, and again, I had to tell him, I said, listen, we explored every possible thing that we could. We went upstairs. We looked for water coming in upstairs. We looked for there's no sump pump. I was like, you sure? I'm like peeking in behind things. I'm like, maybe there's one you don't know about. It was bone dry in the utility room where the floor drain was. And so that's where the water had to come from in order for it to be covered, right? If it comes under the wall, it's seepage. And then that state, that was it, right? If it came under the wall, no coverage, right? And I explained that to him after I spent a lot of time doing really kind of going kind of overboard a little bit, but I don't think it was under the circumstances, and really under most circumstances, it probably wasn't, trying to find a way to extend coverage. And he sensed that. He's like, listen, I was like, was there water like in the room there? Could it have maybe you saw it flowing this way, but maybe it was also coming the other way. He's like, no. He's like, listen. He's like, finally.
Come on, man. I'm trying to help.
Well, and I wasn't trying to lead him or anything. I was just like, he's like, I understand what you're trying to say, and I'm getting the feeling that this probably isn't covered, and I really, really appreciate you, trying to find a way to help us figure out if we can get this paid for. He's like, it's cool. Come on upstairs. Let's get a beer. I did not take a beer or a sandwich, by the way. So, but that guy. He sends a letter, right? He sent a letter to the agent, and that was like a catastrophe denial. Like, I mean, I was like shaking in my boots because I was like, oh man, I mean, this guy, and he was like, he had broad shoulders and like, Popeye forearms and stuff. And I was like, I mean, I've had people threaten to swing at me before, and I was like, well, this is going to be one of those, but it wasn't. And so denying claims, what I learned from that is that even if you're paying for part of the claim, or you can't pay for all of the claim because some things are limited, right, under certain policies or certain endorsements, you just have to try your best and demonstrate to the homeowner that you are there to help them. See if you can cover this, because so many people, the conventional wisdom is that insurance companies are out to save as much money as possible on your claim as they can, and to drag out the process. Those are the two things that you always hear, right? If you can make it look like an efficient, fast process, and you give an answer right there on the spot, whether it's covered or not covered, and here's how much you're going to get, and you really sincerely keep an open mind, because sometimes you'll be on the phone with people when you're making your initial contact call, and you're like, you're thinking this isn't going to be covered, but it could be, right? Because sometimes people will open up the door to the basement and they look downstairs, turn the light on, look downstairs and see water, and think, oh, it's probably coming in that wall again, when it could have been gushing up out of the floor drain, and they didn't see it, right? So if it's, what I mean? So you have to give people the benefit of the doubt, and that's our job, is to do that. So if you think about it in terms like that,
find coverage.
You're there to try to find a way to pay it. And I will tell you right now, in every single orientation meeting I've ever been in my entire life, which has been a lot, the carrier store managers always said, listen, we really appreciate you guys being here. Get out there and try to find a way to cover this stuff, right? If you have questions, call in and let us know. But don't be out there putting big red D's on everything, because that's not what we want to do, right?
Yeah,
So,
that's the biggest thing that drives me crazy about public adjusters and the rhetoric that they
yes.
push out. I mean, I don't hate public adjusters by any means, but what I hate is the marketing angle that so many of them take, and that adjusters adjusters unlike them are looking for ways to deny coverage. And us, if we're working off a fee scale, I mean, we kind of owe it to her. If we get a borderline one where it looks like it could be, there might be a denial. If we were to just walk out the door that minute, it would be denied. We kind of owe it to ourselves working off a fee schedule to see, well, all right, let me look in this, because if there is a way that I can turn this $190, $200 claim into maybe it looks like it would be like a $350 claim if I just spent an extra 20 minutes to poke around. We owe it to ourselves to do that, right? So, and at that point, we're searching coverage for them, even if that means looking in the places where they told us not to look, actually putting our nose in and figuring something out for them to find coverage for them. It benefits us, it benefits them. And, and that's what, it drives me crazy seeing public adjusters talk like that.
Yeah. And frequently I'll see, you could probably find some YouTube videos where there's been conventions or like meetups or whatever of like PAs and contractors, and they're taking Xactimate to task because Xactimate pricing's low. So many, and there's like appraisers, like not like auto appraisers, but like people who go into like sort of not quite court, but they're having something taken to the next level on their property claim. Appraisers will say, well, we're looking at this estimate, and the adjuster just used Xactimate pricing. He didn't get an agreed scope and pricing with the contractor, and now we're paying an extra $7,000 in this, or whatever it is, right? So I like to have contractors there because we're going to stand there shoulder to shoulder, and we're going to look at everything in every room. We're going to make sure our measurements all match up, and I'm going to make sure that bottom line number at the bottom is the one that we're agreeing on. I'm not going to fight over Xactimate 4-cent difference on square foot on price in there, because you could be there all day long going through your estimate, arguing about Xactimate pricing. Let's talk about the bottom line number. I want, this is what I can do for you. If I'm short somewhere, maybe there's another way that I can kind of fill in that gap to help you get you what you need, right? We just negotiate, you talk it out with the guy, and then 9 times out of 10, 99 times out of 100, most of the time you're going to be within $500,000 of the contractor, especially on like hail claims, and you're both going to be nodding, I can do this, right? Maybe you've got an access issue. Maybe they can't access the roof from the front. They got to drag their ladders around the back. I can float a few extra $100 for something like that, and that might get me where he needs to be. He nods, it says yes on it, check it off. That claim's closed. Desk adjuster, unless something else comes up later, which who knows. But the desk adjuster, that's going to come across their desk, and they're going to say rubber stamp and move it on through, instead of having to send it out for reinspection, do a supplement, and do all this stuff, which nobody wants that. Nobody wants. The carrier doesn't want that. The customer doesn't want that. The insured, nobody wants that. No reinspections, no supplements. Just get it right the first time. And having the contractor there, the PA there, and making sure that when I leave that house, I'm agreeing on that number. We're circling it, and we're both putting smiley faces next to it. That's what we want to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me just let me weigh in real quick on the last question. How do you handle denials? A lot of adjusters, I would say the baseline is that we don't. Independent adjusters don't handle the denial because our name isn't the final name on the decision most of the time. Not all the time. In a cat situation, probably all the time. But if you walk out and that it's a situation where there could be, it's probably being denied. If you know that it's probably going to be denied, and you can't say to them that it is going to be denied, even if they ask you if this is something that's normally be covered, there's kind of an art to avoiding that answer. The easiest thing to say is like, hey, listen, I don't know anything about your policy. I'm just here to take some photographs and measurements, and that's it. Then you're going to be contacted by so and so insurance, and they're going to go over blah 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 blah. But the best thing to do, because I've had, as soon as you mentioned the question, the first thing that came to my mind was this lady who I saw went out. This was years ago. I don't know why this sticks in my head, but it was, a slab on grade house. Went out there, checking out. She just had water coming in from the whole one side of her house. Think of it like a square house. The right side of the house, just water's just coming in. I mean, it was an older woman and did not did not take very good care of the exterior of the home. So there's lots of dirt, stuff like that on the side, and water's just coming in and it's damaging everything and tons of content in there. And I look at it and I'm nice to her and whatnot, but ultimately the claim was denied. I didn't write the denial letter, but it's surface water. It's going to be denied. And so what ended up happening was for about a month or two, I got voicemail after voicemail from this lady. Just, I mean, it was, I don't want to say she was mean, because after a while I kind of accepted that there was some level of like mental illness involved there. But I mean, and you're not going to be able to avoid that. But what you need, the way I normally handle it, when I go out, if I know that it's going to be denied and I can't tell them flat out it's going to be denied, I'm going to try to mitigate as much heartache as possible. So I usually do like on property claims at least, when I do my ending spiel, I always tell them to get a few estimates, right? Just like you said, Matt, I mitigate the chances of a supplement later on. I don't want them to get one estimate that's twice the amount of mine. I want them to get multiple estimates, so that they know they're getting a fair price before they start, going crazy. Now, if I know that it's going to be denied, I'll be exceptionally nice to them and understanding of the whole thing, and tell them to get the third estimate and make sure that everything is good. And I'll make sure that I review everything with them and make sure that we're both in agreement. And I'm sure the insurance company appreciates this a lot. That we're in complete agreement of what damage happened and how we think it happened. So there's no debate after I leave where it's like, Jeremy, they denied my claim, and they said that you said that the water came in from the slab underneath in the middle of the basement where there's no pipes or anything like that. I'll say to them, I'll say, okay, listen, we got everything down here. We got the carpet's soaking wet. It smells disgusting in the basement. It's super bad. We got the wall, we got the couch, we got all this and that. There's no pipes that are leaking, nothing like that. The drains are fine. It looks like it's water that's coming up the slab. Am I right? They'll say, yeah, that's what it looks like. All right, fine. Then we go, and we're both in agreement, because what I've noticed is that if you don't get that agreement, that's when some people will start stretching. That's when they'll say that they've been lied to, that there's some other event, something going on where they just don't believe what happened, and that's when they get upset. The key, I mean, I say this on denial claims. You should do this really on all claims, but on the denial claims, it's to show additional compassion and to really show that you're committed to the claim, that you're not there because just like you said, it's going to be the knee-jerk reaction that you were just sent out there to save the insurance company money. That was it. That's going to be the knee-jerk reaction to any, most denials, I'm sure. So that's when you owe it to yourself to make sure that they know that you're not out there to deny a claim, whether or not the claim gets denied or not. But that's not why you're out there. That you're out there to gain a full understanding of what the cause and the origin, so that you can report it to the insurance company. This is what I believe what the cause and origin is. What do you think? Are you in agreement? Yes? Okay. I'm going to put everything together and give it to the insurance company, and we're going to see what happens. Hopefully, we got this thing covered for you. And hopefully they do cover it after all, but sometimes it won't.
Yeah. Well, and I'll just kind of piggyback just a little bit on that, and then we'll move on. Maybe Chris can grab a question.
Yeah.
No matter if you're doing CAT or daily, you are going to be dealing with a cross section of society in the United States. So you're going to have $1.5 million houses above, maybe, and you're going to have $50,000 houses and mobile homes and things like that. So you treat every single person as though they're in a $1.5 million house. Is what I kind of the way I feel about it, right? So one way, and again, Jeremy's right. Like, you're not going to be have authority to make coverage decisions on every single assignment or deployment that you go on. They may just say, hey, we just need you to go out, take pictures, get measurements, write an estimate, turn it in. We'll make a decision, and we'll call the insured and tell them if it's covered or not, right? And then we can bill off of whatever. Other times with other carriers, they may say, listen, you're a licensed adjuster. You are trained. We expect you to do everything, make the coverage decision, the whole 9 yards. If you are responsible for making the coverage decision, and it's a denial, the final thing I'll say on this is that a lot of companies will give you the option to do this, and if they don't, you could probably do it anyway. But there's a way to kind of soften the blow, and one way is it's a little bit of extra work, but especially I'll do this for folks who seem like they may need the extra help, right? So maybe they've never had a contractor at the house before. They're clueless, right? A lot of times elderly people who are living alone. Sometimes there's a lot of, like I said, you're gonna meet people from every single walk of life, period. I've probably been in a half a dozen hoarder houses where they've got a little path through everything and there's stuff stacked up to the ceiling, right? Those people deserve the same kind of compassion and the same kind of respect and dignity that you would give somebody, who's
Absolutely.
and I did what's his name? Well, I won't go into that, but I had a senator or a representative's house in Wisconsin. I can't remember the guy's name. Anyway, same thing I would give to that guy, right? So the same thing. I had that guy's claim,
right?
But you can say, listen, this, you made your denial, it's not covered. I will say first, if you have a contractor or work, some kind of water mitigation company come out here and they find a different source, if they say we can point over here and say this is actually where it came in, right? Call me back, because I'm going to come right back out here and we're going to take care of this. In the meantime, what I'm going to do is I'm going to spend a half an hour or less, as we're going to see in tomorrow's video on AdjusterTV. I've got your video coming up, Jeremy's tomorrow. Sit down and write an estimate. Write an estimate for the damage that you see. It's not covered. Some insurance companies are going to have a opening statement that says this is not a settlement thing. This is for your convenience to use as a reference when you have contractors out. Your claim is not covered, right? And then write them an actual estimate for the damages, right? The carpet, the drywall, baseboard, et cetera, right? And then print it out and hand it to them. That's what I would do, and say, listen, this is the ballpark of what you should be spending here if you hire a contractor to do this work. So I don't want you to, it's $12,000. If some guy comes in and says it's $37,000, maybe question that and call me, right? I make myself available for this kind of thing. So I'm there, I'm supporting them after saying, listen, we can't take care of it, but I want to try to help you on the back end a little bit. And occasionally you get a call. Most of the time people have their friends and family come over and help them with stuff, and then they just move on from there, right? It's not cool, it's not fun, but it is an opportunity to help to nudge the conventional wisdom a little bit away from insurance companies who are trying to save money and are trying to drag their feet on everything. If you can be, it's like hearts and minds one at a time. But I think in the long run, I think it's the best way personally to kind of run your claims business is to take that attitude. So, Chris, what you got, brother?
All right, I got a question in email. This is a strictly auto question. Sorry, property guys.
No, that's totally fine.
Oh, boo. But from Al, he does have a follow-up question for you guys, though. So his first question, though, Alan submitted was, I've got a company contacting me for potential deployment in auto. I've never done an auto deployment. What is kind of the fee schedule, rates? Is it hourly? Is it per day? Typically, how does it work? And so first off, doing CAT is expensive, especially if you have two household incomes. So make sure that if you're going out, it makes sense for you. It's not like property typically where you can scale infinitely based on what you can do. Auto is usually a per day rate. You're typically capped in most scenarios. So you're going to make roughly $450 to $500 a day. That's what it is, flat rate. And occasionally you'll see up to something like $650, but that is very, very rare. So $450 to $500 is really what you should expect for that. Can you guys hear me okay? Matt's making some kind of face that, okay. Oh, you
nobody else can see me. They can just see you.
Is that what you're doing?
You're good.
He makes fun of me calling me grandpa. Okay. All right, I'm just following now. I'm slow. All right, so $450 to $500 for an auto deployment is what you should expect. Now, he also has this other dollar amount for if you get deployed as a W-2 employee to an auto cubicle position, inside adjuster position. They actually deploy at $25 an hour. And he's like, how do people make a living basically off that? Well, frankly, as a CAT adjuster, you can't. that is a job. They call them an ECTA a lot of times. And you're working like Dallas. So James Mathis lives and works near Dallas. He gets an opportunity to go sit in an office, handle phone calls, settle claims for $25 an hour as an entry position. But you can't think of that as like, oh, I've arrived as an independent adjuster. That is like the opening of the door for you to prove yourself to a company to move up to their better paying positions, Alan. So that is only if you want to get in with a major cat firm, and that's the only thing that's going on right now. Okay, maybe you want to take it, but you can't expect to make money at $25 an hour away from home. It's not going to happen.
No.
So you're right. It's not enough money to make a living unless you live there, and it's fill-in work until the next storm hits. And so that's those two things. James, you got anything to add on those? Because you've kind of worked in and around those situations some recently.
What was the question?
Oh my God. Never mind, Grandpa. See who's the grandpa here. So yeah,
I've been doing a hamburger for my wife.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. So yeah, there we go. The great James Mathis. All right, so from Matt, the second question here I got from Alan is this. Question from Matt. Matt, last year I deployed 3 times for I'm filling in the blank, a very large company in our space, handling property and wind hail claims. The money was great, but with only 7 weeks of deployment, the off-season has been very difficult. I think Jeremy Reddy's got something to say about this. 7 weeks last year. I don't think he worked 7 weeks last year. It's been very difficult. Do you think this season will be any better? I know there's no guarantee of the big wind from the east. If not for Dorian, I may have stayed deployed longer. I didn't bail on Chicago to chase the storm, but to return home to protect my family from the predicted path. So it sounds like he might have left the storm early, too, which is tough to recover from as well. So, Matt, I'll let you start, but I think Reddy's got something to say on this.
Yeah, I've got it.
So,
all right, Matt, you do it.
So the question, let me see if I get this right. So the question is like, what do you do in the downtime? And then what do I think about, like,
is it going to get better? Last year was so bad. Is it going to get better? Because he only deployed for 7 weeks last year. That's the basic gist.
So I'll just put it this way. And Jeremy, I'm sure you can back me up on this. We go into this with open eyes, right? We know that, especially if we're doing just cat in particular, which I did like almost exclusively cat up until like 2 years ago. Well, sort of, more or less. So if you're just doing cat, like I worked every single year, right? Whether it was great weather, whether it was a hurricane, or whether it was like nothing on the news, I'm still getting a phone call. Hey, Matt, we got a 3-inch hail in Kearney, Nebraska. 10,000 people live there, right? It's me and 2 other guys. And I spend the summer there, right? And then you go on like Facebook, or you go on catadjuster.org, if that's even still a thing, and people are complaining about how there's no work. So I think the key for that, and I'll try to be brief on it, but the key is to do what we're talking about, and that is to get your skills up, right? And to, I don't know what's going on with James down there. He's eating dinner.
He's doing the Joe Rogan right now. He's going off screen to do something else.
And to learn, and to way more important than even that. I mean, because you can kind of build your Xactimate skills and all that stuff as you go, and that is to learn how to be efficient, right? Because the faster you are, the more you can kind of pad your sort of like rainy day fund, because you know that it could be you get a late start on the season, right? I'm a hail adjuster way before I'm ever a hurricane adjuster. I've worked 6 hurricanes in my entire 21-year career, right? And it was like they were the big ones, right? We have several years in a row where there's nothing, right? We had 3 years in a row. We had Matthew, 2016. Then we had Irma and Harvey, and then we had Florence and that other one, right? So and then we had Dorian do the right hand, do the dog leg, and right. So then after that, there's nothing, right? So and there might be nothing this year. It's impossible to predict, right? We can barely predict the weather 3 days out, let alone 6 months from now, because hurricane season will peak in September, starting in mid-August, peak in the middle of September, and then back down into the middle of October. And that's the big. They say hurricane season starts in May, and hurricane season starts in August, as far as I'm concerned. I'm not paying attention to much before that. So Do I think that anything's what's it gonna be like this year? No clue. But I can tell you, doing cat, that I've never had a year where, especially after, most in particular after I had developed relationships with my IA firms and became a trusted resource for them, I always said yes. I always said yes. They'd say, hey, Matt, we got this one 6 hours away. Yeah, no problem. I'll take care of it. Just send it over. I'm not like,
Right.
sure you got somebody else? That's too far. No. Yes, sir. I'll get this one off of your desk and take care of it. Right. And then, okay,
Right.
bye. And then you're off the phone. I'm not like complaining about it. I'm not asking if I'm getting mileage. I'm not, making a big deal. I'm taking care of that for them. And they remember that. IA managers remember that. Carriers will remember that. And you'll get assignments. You'll be working when other people aren't working. Right. So that's my advice for people who, if you're worried about the feast or famine thing, it's a whole new world, right? It's something that's, like we've been saying this, it's not for everybody, but if you are willing to, prepare yourself for it and have things to do in the downtime to generate income so that you can protect the money that you did make on your deployment or your assignment, keep that money safe so that, and then deliver pizza, be a bartender, do Postmates, do
auto claims,
on demand stuff. Do auto, no, absolutely, 100%. Do auto claims, for crying out loud. I mean, it's like I didn't even know about that until like last year, and Chris is like, "Oh yeah, man, totally. You can just jump right into auto." I'm like, "What? I could be telling people that." So, and that's you just slide into it, and then if you get the deployment, you can slide right back out, right? And photo assist stuff. I mean, people will complain about it, but it's not going away, right? It's here to stay, and you might as well take advantage of it. And they're getting competitive with some of these, what they're paying for this stuff, right? So,
yeah,
I don't know, Jeremy, if you want to jump in on this one a little bit.
Wait, before we turn Jeremy loose, I got 5 seconds. I got to say before we let Jeremy loose on this, because I know he's going on a tirade. It's never going to end here. Now, two things. I know nothing about property. I've never scaled a roof, nothing. But everything I've learned from these guys, from Kagan, from Jason Heenan, two things: network, okay, and resume is all that matters to getting work, in my opinion, other than your quality product, like Matt's saying. But to get the first claim in your box to prove the point, network, resume, and that's why Reddick's the man on this. So go.
All right, so thanks a lot, Chris. And guys, if you're watching this right now, I'm not sure if Chris's video is working for you. If it's not, just hang tight. So, all right. So the direct question that he posed, and correct me if I'm wrong here, is this year going to be better than last year? Was that the question?
Basically.
Yeah.
All right. So there's no answer to that, man. I mean, I don't, for the person that asked the question, I don't know, because I don't know, like, there's no way to tell because we don't know your business, man. Don't know how many people you market yourself to. Don't know how many companies you're working with. There's so many variables involved in being successful in this business that we just, on the surface of that question, we just don't know. I mean, I did really well last year, really, really well. And a lot of people didn't. So do I think that my year next year is going to be better? This year is going to be better than my year last year? Like, I hope so, but I don't know if it will be.
No way to know.
The point I'm making is that, listen, you're always going to have people that are going to say that they had a slow year. There's going to be there's always going to be that percentage of people that did not have a good year. And the reason why there's such a percentage of people that didn't have a good year is because they're not doing anything to make sure that they are going to have a good year. They're with one company. They're with maybe two companies. They're only doing cat with those companies. They're only doing cat State Farm with those companies. Meanwhile, there might be other people out there that are working with that routinely market themselves to 50, 60 different companies that are doing cat or just doing daily claims. And with all that with this said, I have a couple lists of questions here. And I know Matt Bluss asked if you could make 6 figures on a cat without cat. So I'm gonna bunch him in on this. You can absolutely make 6 figures without a cat. I've made 6 figures without a cat for years now. My whole thing is that you should be striving to be able to do that without the cat. The cat, I think of it like playoffs. I think of it like like playoffs in the regular season. And this is what I thought when Irma hit, because like Matt, I think like Matt, I didn't do hurricanes. I got started in this business early on when Sandy hit New Jersey and New York. So I got a crack because of that. But after that, I went a very long time not doing any cat claims at all. So I kind of considered me doing daily claims as like the regular season. That's like a regular season game. You know, we just got to get through them. And then Harvey hit. And when Harvey hit, I was like, it came at a point where Adjuster University was new, and I was dumping in all of my money there. And then Hurricane Harvey hit, and I said, shoot, I should get out there. I should get some stuff. Documented here. Let me see if I can fix. I'm getting some feedback here.
Is that you?
Not sure if it's. Oh yeah, it was. All right, is that better?
No worries.
I was getting. I went out. I went out to Texas for Harvey. Right. I did that, and I was like, shoot, you know, I'm sure I could get. I think it's coming back here. I went out to Harvey, and my idea was, shoot, man, I've learned how to close, 10 claims a day, all different types of perils, some big, some small.
Yep.
Let me get, because at that point I was just dying. I was dying for a cat. Like, you mean to tell me I could go out to a site, right? And I'm going to only inspect one peril and just write roof replacements? Yeah, I'll do fucking 50 of them in a day. Just bring them on. So I went out to Harvey. And it was definitely not that. I was in South Texas where it was just complete devastation, where it was not just a roof replacement. I was down there doing flood claims. It was a freaking disaster. Or I was working in Houston where they had no wind. They just had water and flood, where I'm just the Grim Reaper. Like we talk about doing the denials. I'm just a Grim Reaper out there, just denying claims left and right. But then Irma hit. Then when Irma hit, I jumped over there to Florida. Then we're just doing roof replacements on crazy ass fee schedules. That to me, then that's when I thought of it like this is the playoffs. Like I worked, I was in all regular season, and now here I am in the playoffs, and this is when I have to take all of my skill and really apply it. And at Irma, I was doing $10,000 to $15,000 a day. Somewhere in that. It was freaking insane. And I did really well doing that. But the reason why I did well doing that is because I've done so well doing daily claims before that. And just to now dial it back to the question, all of those stories there, doing so well doing daily claims and then doing really well doing cat claims, none of that would have ever been possible if I didn't already understand the importance of marketing myself and making sure that as many companies as possible knew exactly who I was. If I can get it so that I have a working history with them, that's even better. But at least get them to know exactly who I am. I know in Florida during Irma, I went down for Irma and I handled claims with a couple I think 2 companies at first, right? Then one company quickly died off. Then I wanted to bring in another one on. I think I brought in second company that I brought on was One Call Claims. I think they're based in Florida. Never worked with them before, but I've been giving my name. I've been giving them my name for a long time. So they brought me on. They're already used to seeing my name pop up. Why not let it pop up somewhere else?
I was doing file reviews for them. I probably looked at some of your files.
Right. Yeah, you could have. So I did that. And then shortly after that, I was like, I got some more. I got some more space. So I brought on, and that was the first time I worked with IMS claim service. I brought them on too. And what's great about that is IMS, ever since Irma had a good relationship with them, IMS has contributed to my yearly income through Hurricane Michael that happened a year later. And most recently, because they don't really have much business in New Jersey, but they have business in more New England. And this last winter, I think it was in October, they had a storm up in Massachusetts, non-licensing state, and it generated some claims in Connecticut and Rhode Island, licensing states, but I can get licenses there because I already had that great relationship in place. I was like, if you got claims, I'll go up there. It's a 3-4 hour drive, but I'll go up there and I'll handle those claims. And they started giving me these claims because I already had such a relationship with them. That relationship came as a result of marketing myself to them. And And that part, the marketing part, getting your name out there, pushing it in front of these companies like, hey, you know, my name is Steve, my name is Matt. Hey, look at me. I can help you. I know how to help you. Doing that, that's what keeps you from being the type of person that's going to ask if the next year is going to be better than the last. Nobody knows that except you. Nobody knows the answer to that question. And so you got to market yourself. And I'll throw in a plug. I'll throw in a plug right there.
Do it.
We just put out I'm a licensed adjuster nowwhat.com. And that web address will bring you to our webinar. Yeah, it'll bring you to the webinar that I host of how to be a more effective and efficient marketer and salesperson in independent adjusting, because that is the biggest part of it. If you send a company your resume, one company, 5 companies your resume, and you're just sitting there waiting, or maybe you went on their website and you got on their roster and you think your job's done there, you're going to wonder if next year is going to be better than this year. But honestly, unless something big happens, it's probably not going to be, because you're not putting the work in that other people are. That's all I got to say about that.
Hey, by the way,
right on.
James.
That was beautiful.
James,
Yes, sir.
can you hear me?
I got you.
All right. Now, James has been a marketer of himself in recent memory. Like, he's bounced around more in the last 3-4 months, finding work when no one else in DFW would find work, which is exactly what Reddick's talking about.
Fantastic.
What are you doing that nobody else is doing? And I'll plug resumes, not even his webinar, but his resume course. I give it to my students who buy into our mentorship program because it's so valuable to show up differently than every other resume out there. But you can also do it another way. So, James, talk to people about what they should be doing, not just sending resumes.
Beg. Just beg. That's pretty much, that's what I do daily. I grovel and I beg for it. No, I mean, and so I'm going to address a question that was asked. How many calls do you make a week? I don't remember who wrote it. I'm flipping through here trying to find it, but somebody asked a question. How many times do you contact an IA firm a week before you're, being a pest? The answer to that question is, you can't call them too many times. And that's what I did.
Yeah.
I called every single day. How I found work was by simply getting on the phone, calling the same people every day, going, hey, I'm still here. I'm not going away until you send me claims. I'm going to call you every day. So either give me work or we're going to talk every day. I'm going to blow up your. I mean, it wasn't that drastic, but it was pretty much that bad.
That's the idea.
But that was the idea. And just in a network, guys, you don't realize the activity that you do today, where it's going to pay off in the future. Okay. Anybody that you make contact with today, 6 months from now, a year from now, that little contact you make could flourish itself and you get work from it. Yep. So again, people, and also this business is, and it's somewhat nomadic as well. I mean, people go from firm to firm. Even within the IA firms, people will leave one IA firm, go to another. And guess what? If you were the guy that was being the squeaky wheel, they're going to remember you. And some people actually sneak away with their contact list, and some don't. But anyway, it's all about selling yourself every day. And I'm going to tell the story over and over and over. How I ended up in West Texas and finding work out there was I was calling IA firms every single day. And finally, I said, guys, where do you have work? I'll go wherever you have work at. I just want to get some experience. And 3 or 4 IA firms, in a matter of a couple of hours that I spoke to said, well, if you can go to West Texas, we can get you some work out there. That conversation happened on a Thursday, and the next Monday I was in West Texas.
Right.
It was a no-brainer. I just went out there. So, guys, don't be scared to take a risk, and don't be scared to pick up the phone and call and ask for it. If you're just going to get your license and go sign up for a bunch of rosters and hope you're going to get work, you've already failed. That's all I got to say.
No, you're absolutely right there. I talk right on that, and it's great to hear that you've got that. Being newer in the industry, and you understand that, because that's something there. I mean, that's a sales thing. is that people don't want to come off as they don't want to pester. They don't want to come off as annoying, or like, what if they don't like me because I'm emailing them too much? And it's if you don't, and I I get it. You don't want to be overly aggressive. You don't want to be that guy that keeps coming up to you while all you're trying to do is look at a pair of pants. You don't want to be that person. But I'll tell you what. That person sells pants.
I can honestly say I've never had that happen before.
No, yeah. You gotta be that person to get out there. Well, I mean, listen, you can do it in a creepy way, or you can do it in an effective way. And if you can do it in an effective way, that's even better.
So, one of the things that I tell people all the time is like, well, I feel like, when I'm calling people every day, I feel like I'm being the pesky salesperson. Right. And I said, you are in sales. You own your own business. You're independent. You're in sales by the sheer fact of the first word of your title, which is independent. Being independent, you have to sell yourself every single day. Yep. Well, I don't want to be a salesperson. Well, my first question to that person is like, have you ever had a date? Have you ever asked somebody to go out on a date? Well, yeah, I have. Well, then you're in sales.
Right. Everybody's, we're all in sales. We're all selling our ideas. We're all selling our ideas. We want our way. You
got to sell your settlement. Like when you write your estimate, you got to sell that.
Yeah. Exactly.
I mean, it's everything.
Yep. If you've got a PA, you're working with a PA, you're going to have to negotiate. You're going to have to sell. Yep. You might have to sell.
No, you're going to a PA, just punch him and walk off. No, don't do that. Don't take my advice on that one. Don't do it.
Yeah, there's going to be a sound clip right there, and it's going to cut off.
All right, do we want to jump in and to see if we can't get some chat questions, you guys? Or anybody have any other questions?
Oh, are we answering questions? Oh, I forgot. All right.
Can I address one real fast?
Which one is it?
Go for it, James.
Oh, yeah, guys, if you guys are listening right now, make sure if you've got the link, make sure you post this, share this. Let's get some more people in here.
Yeah, big time.
So what I've got one from my YouTube channel, and this came from Rod and Bo's Outdoors, which his real name is Dan. I actually know who this guy is. Hey, Dan. He says, as someone who has been in the insurance industry for over 4 years, but no claims/adjusting experience, what difficulties would I face in becoming an independent adjuster? Which that's a great question. I mean, I had an insurance license for years where I sold property and casualty and life and health and everything else. I worked for State Farm in an office selling those products, and I made the transition. Later on, it actually, in some ways, it helps you, especially on the property side, because if you sell that policy, that policy, especially on the homeowner's policy. You know it, you live it, you breathe it, you sold a lot of it. And so you're going to understand the nuances of how coverages are and how to look up things in a policy. That's going to help you a lot on the property side. Now, as far as daily claims go on auto, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't affect you either way. There's nothing that's going to hinder you. There's nothing that's going to help you. It's going to help you a little bit because you know how to talk to people. But, I know this guy. He's one of my fishing buddies, kind of. And what's going to happen is that your experience of being on sales is going to help you out in the field, because again, you're dealing with people every single day. And this is no matter how you slice it, no matter what you do, no matter what we do every day, it is a people business. And if you can't relate to people, then I say this over and over and over.
Yeah.
You failed already if you can't deal with people. So
yeah, big time.
That's all.
All right.
Okay, well, that's all I'm going to tackle.
Yeah, let's take a look in the chat here and see what we got for questions. I'm going to scroll back up to the top.
I know I had one. I guess I'll throw one out there while you check out the next one. Daniel had asked if a Xactimate level 3 certification is worth it, and Matt, I'm interested in hearing your input on this as well.
Sure.
In my crash course on how to be a six-figure adjuster, www.I'mALicensedAdjusterNowWhat.com, I mentioned how a certification of any kind, especially like a Xactimate level 2, level 1, 2, 3, all a certification is just a means to justify a claim that you make about what you can do or what you know. That's what a certification really is. Yep. It's just a justification of that. So what So with that being understood, what is an Xactimate level 3 certification? It just means that you understand Xactimate at the highest level of what is understood by Xactware, right? That's the highest level. So that's what that means. Now, if James with the martini, there you go. So, what was that? Forget my question. What kind of martini was that?
That's actually a margarita. So.
Oh, all right.
This is a Guinness for anybody who may not be.
I saw your Guinness. I saw that you got a little stout going on. All right. As far as Xactimate level 3, is it worth it? Well, it depends. If you don't have very much claims adjusting experience, if you don't have any verifiable estimating experience that you can show off, it's absolutely valuable, because that's what's going to show that you're not some Momo that wants to make the big bucks with property claims and has never actually used Xactimate. Then, if that's the case, if you don't have a solid experience or worked for several different companies and closed up thousands and thousands of claims, then having that certification is going to look good on your resume, because it shows that you're not that type of person. However, what I will tell you is this: I have my level 3 certification, and I got it about maybe like a year ago. I already was submitting my resume with an estimate attached to it. I already at that point had submitted probably 10,000 claims in my life already at that point. So I got it because I figured, like, hey, whatever. It was like, I think it was like $200. Like, I'll get it, and hey, maybe it'll give me a couple, maybe give me a little bit of work in the end. I don't think it had any impact, except just made my onboarding processes a little bit more complicated, because then I had to include that certification in it. Right. Other than that, doesn't do anything for me, but only because I already backed it up otherwise. So if you don't have that background to piggyback off of, get it. If you do, get it. If you just have what rich people call FU money to spare.
You want to jump in on that, James?
Yeah. So what I want to say about that is that, of course, I had the opportunity to go to NACA this year. Thanks, Matt.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I heard more often from IA firms was one of the reasons why they liked NACA was they got to visit people in person. And even though somebody might be lacking in Xactimate skills, if they see how that person can react to people and interact with people, that will almost totally negate their lack of Xactimate skills, because that can be taught, that can be learned. Right. So if you're hanging your hat on getting to level 3 Xactimate, then you're hanging your hat on the wrong skills.
Right.
So that's all I've got there. So
yeah, and I'll listen.
And Matt walked away for a second. So who wants to moderate here?
No, I'm here. So you guys, if you're watching YouTube, like we've got a Skype call going, and then we've got like the thing that YouTube people are seeing. So anyway, I'll jump in just real quick on this. For certifications, like I asked a bunch of IA firms about this, and I asked them every time I go to NACA, or every time I go to any kind of conference or whatever, and I say, listen, adjusters ask me all the time, what certifications, what this, what that, what training, whatever, right? Pilot told me, and this is echoed by just about everybody else that I asked, they said, we're not really that concerned with, whether you have an Xactimate level 1, 2, or 3 certification. We're much more interested in how deployable are you? In other words, what licenses do you have? What state licenses, right? So did you have the New York license?
Pilots.
Yeah. So you got a New York license, New Mexico, Florida, Texas, Minnesota is a big one, believe it or not. Those are places where, they want to send you guys to those places. Xactimate, I have no Xactimate certification, right? I learned how to use Xactimate a long time ago, and I don't even know what version it was when I first got into it. But I know that just a few years before me that people were still handwriting estimates. Should tell you how old I am. But I was doing a paper file, right? So I used Xactimate to write the estimate and print it out and then put it in the file. And then I had to handwrite the activity diary. I took Polaroid pictures and stapled those onto a piece of paper and wrote down risk. And then the next picture was risk address, right? So it was like, and I still like, to go back to what we were talking about earlier, with workflow and efficiency, I was still able to hammer out a bit like roof, gutters, 2 sides siding, my hail claim in an hour. Start to finish, close claim, hand the insured check, and drive to the next one in 1 hour, right? And it's a workflow, it's a process thing. So as far as Xactimate goes, I'm going to tell you guys what I tell my students, and that is that you just have to practice, right? Repetition, because and again, go back to what Jeremy said, certification says that you've got a little skin in the game. It's kind of like a college degree. It says maybe, you have like, some critical thinking skills or whatever a college degree says you've got. But it doesn't say how good you are at using Xactimate. The only thing it says how good you are at running Xactimate is how fast you turn in good quality, solid claims. Everything looks good to the file reviewer. Everything looks good to the desk adjuster, the QA, your manager, everybody. File sales through, and you're turning over a bunch of them. 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. 6 is for me is a minimum, especially on CAT. Like if I'm taking a half day,
absolutely,
my half day starts at 10:30 in the morning, and I'm gonna knock out 6. It's, that's what I'm gonna do, because I don't want to take half days. I want to just work all day every day with that little ambition thing. Well, anyway, so long story short, Xactimate certification is for you. I would say it's for you to learn the ins and out of that software. And if I'm taking a class, especially if it's in person, and I'm going to get that certification in person with an instructor in front of me, I'm asking what the shortcuts are. I'm asking, how do I get to this stuff? How do I get to things faster? How do I build my workflow and be faster in the software? It's great. Sure, you can show me how to change this pitchness on a roof in Sketch. Great. You can show me how to make 5 spiral staircases that loop over each other. Never going to use that. Not ever once in my entire life. Probably, So
it's cute, though. Yeah.
It is cute, yeah. And you see that, like the test, like Jeremy, I've never taken the test, but I've heard it's like for level 3, you have to sketch this 5,500 square foot house and blah, 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 right? You're probably never going to do that, right? If you have a total loss,
no,
you're going to like
I don't think they
Marshall
had to
and
do
Swift
that,
it, right?
I don't even think that was a thing. There was one semi-complicated roof, and that was it. And which is a kick because you'll never catch me doing a moderately complicated roof. I'll pay $30 for
Eagle View. Come on, right?
Yeah, why would I do that?
You could spend 2 hours climbing around on a roof, diagramming it, getting all the measurements of every single little thing everywhere. You spend 2 hours doing that, at least, on one of those big, steep Texas suckers down there.
Yeah.
No, Eagle View, $35. I'm going to look at that thing before I ever get to that house. I'm gonna do some claims recon in Google Maps. I'm gonna look at that roof and I'm gonna say, dude, I'm Eagle View, that address.
I thought about putting together a course on how to sketch 99% of complicated roofs in under 5 minutes, and the whole course would have just been me explaining. Now go to this website and put in the address.
Right. Exactly.
And that's it. And hey, thank me later.
All right. So what questions we got in the chat there?
All right. Let me take a look here.
I like the idea though, Jeremy. I really.
Yeah. Hey, always thinking it's entrepreneurial spirit, right?
All right. Yeah. Let's nail some questions here.
All right. So Bob asks, our good buddy Bob Belvin, he says, New York license. Matt, you have a video saying you would not get New York. Eberl is sending out a request for people to get the New York license. Your thoughts again, please. So I will tell you that I have had videos since then. And I will tell you, I think even in that video that Bob's talking about, I do refer to the fact that I'm not going to tell people not to get the New York license. Only at that time in that video, I was saying that for pretty much my entire career, including working Hurricane Sandy, where I got in on an emergency license, I haven't used a New York license, and there was a few reasons for that. And super short, it was I'm not working there very often because I'm doing Midwest CAT, hail, right? And I'm not, when I do work there, it's super duper expensive to get around. Gas is expensive. It's like working in California. Extended stay was $900 a week.
You're talking
in Long Island.
Yeah, if you work in like Long Island.
Yeah, so that's where so I worked there in 2002, not on the license somehow. But anyway, and I don't often work there. So it was an executive decision I made for my career. It's like an 80-20 rule. Like 80% of, really up 90% of the money that I make as a cat adjuster comes from Colorado to Ohio, Indiana, and Minnesota to Texas. Now that square right there is where I live. I've worked in a lot of other states outside of that, but it's rare. It's like, hey Matt, you want to go to Seattle for 2 weeks? Sure. Hey Matt, you want to go to Hurricane? Let's see, what was it on? Gene. I think I was in Florida, right? I've only worked in Florida a couple of times on hurricanes. Alabama a few times. So outside of that square, but like your bread and butter is going to be Midwest hail. I will tell you 100%, if you want to distinguish yourself, doing cat or daily, because I'm going to tell you right now, you can travel for daily. You can call up any IA firm and say, hey, listen, you have a need somewhere?
If they're getting overwhelmed.
Daily?
Yeah.
Anytime of the year, any year. Say, hey, listen, call Pilot, call Compass, call Worley, Eberl, whoever. Or they're not
Pocket Storms, man.
Yeah. Not even Pocket Storms. I'm talking about daily. Like, just say, because I know Worley is now called Alacrity, by the way. Because you guys
is that how you pronounce it?
I think so.
Alacrity? Did you say?
Who's called that?
Alacrity. So anyway, so they have like Liberty Mutual Safeco as their client up in the Northwest, and they're short. At least as of this time last year, they were short people up there for daily, right?
Yeah.
So if you called Worley and said, "Hey, listen, I'm happy to help you guys wherever you need me. I live in Texas. Do you have need in the Northwest or the Northeast, like New Hampshire, Maine, those states up there? They often have there's dense populations in these places, and they're almost always short-handed. When I worked for Liberty Mutual, I was a staff adjuster for Liberty Mutual up in the Northwest. We're always short-staffed, right? We had a lot of turnover on the staff side, and we had a lot of out-of-territory claims where I was assigning IAs to do stuff all the time, right? It's needed, right? So these companies, you call them up and say, anywhere you want me to go, any kind of claim you want me to handle, what are you guys laughing at? You got something on my face? I will go, and you go live in a hotel, and you go do daily claims. The fee schedule might be different. It's going to be different than CAT, but you're going to be busy, and you're going to be working in the downtime when everybody else is scraping mold off of the bread and looking at cash cushions for change, right? So get a New York license to answer that question. I would say for sure get it.
I agree.
Eberl, all these companies have said, listen, it truly is the golden ticket. Willy Wonka opens up a chocolate bar, there's a New York license, right? Because it's hard to get.
I'll tell you.
And if there's such a heavy population density there that if they get something or even doing daily, you can be busy in New York. You can probably just move there.
I'll tell you what, guys, listen to this. All right, so I'm a Jersey boy,
Really?
So
I
got my. I went. I think
Texas accent.
A few months into me being getting my crack at property claims, right? I went for my New York license because New York New York State, like Staten Island, is about 15 minutes from where I'm at right now. So why wouldn't I have a New York license, right? So a few months into me I already had my Texas license because New Jersey's non-licensing. I already had that, so I figured, get the New York license, right? I'm starting to roll. I'm starting to do my thing, and so I took I did the Adjuster Pro New York exam, New York, pre-licensing course or licensing course, and so I had an appointment to get that New York license, and I failed it. Ever since then, I was so busy with New Jersey and with Pennsylvania that I never even cared. Recently, I actually had another appointment to go take another crack at the New York license last week. It was canceled, obviously.
Oh, dang.
But yeah. But what I'll tell you is this. I'm the Adjuster University guy. You would think that I know everything about insurance. I took a pre-test. I took one of those pre-exam, tests, and guess what I scored on that? I scored like 45%.
Oh, dang.
Awful.
It's called Adjuster Pro.
It was just
Adjuster Pro. exam prep.
It was bad. It was real bad. Because I know property. I know property claim. I know your homeowner's policy. I don't know aviation or anything like that. But what I will tell you, just being from New Jersey, is I'm constant. Even today, I don't have my phone with me, but I could show you a text message today. Who had asked me? Straight Line Global, company out of Florida. Josh Shucks is the president, the founder of it. He just asked me today if I had a New York license. I get that question about at least a dozen times a year. If I have a New York license, or if I know anybody that has a New York license, and that there tells me that there's a lot of value behind having a New York license. Whether it's and don't get me wrong, I'm with you, Matt. Doing claims in Long Island sucks. I have absolutely no desire. Long Island is about 45 minutes from me to get into Long Island, 45 or maybe like an hour to get into Long Island, all because of traffic. Geographically, it's about 30 minutes away, 25, 30 minutes away. But because of traffic and all that, it's about an hour. On Fridays, late Friday, it's about an hour and a half, 2 hours. Okay.
I live in Dallas-Fort Worth.
It's awful. Yeah. It's definitely awful. Meanwhile, I'll travel 3 hours north or 3 hours south from where I'm at right now, but it's smooth sailing. It's chaos getting into Long Island. So I'm with you there. But for the mere fact that there might be the possibility of one of those pocket storms that go on in New York State, which is geographically a very large area, that possibility, I think it's absolutely worth it. It's tough to get. Absolutely. The Adjuster University guy can't seem to pass it. But for that same reason, that's why, if you're listening right now, that's why you should get it.
It's a rare license, and it's worth it to get it. So go ahead. All right, let's do some like kind of quick hits. We'll just do like a round, like it's round robin kind of thing. First question for this is, Casey says, what's your advice for couples who want to do this? Should they get licensed as individuals and approach the IA firms independently, or should they apply under a company name such as an LLC? Go, Chris.
Right.
Well, what I found, at least in the daily auto space, is most of the time you have to be an established company anyways to even get on with the firms. So if you're going to do that anyways, you might as well be becoming an LLC and work together. Now, that doesn't mean you don't attack it two separate tandems. Maybe one's going after the cat work, one's going after daily, one's going after property, one's going after auto, because it's separate headspace there. But for me, I don't see any reason why to attack it totally separate. You might as well fall into one LLC.
All right, go, James.
So somebody said, where did it go? Kenneth said, hi, everybody. I appreciate live streams.
Oh, we're still answering that first question.
What do you... Oh, that one? Okay. I thought you were going to take another one. Never mind.
No. We'll do like one question at a time. Everybody answer it.
Okay. So real fast on that one. So you're an independent, you're a company, you have an LLC, you can employ people. That's how small regional companies get started, as a wise man named Chris Stanley once said to me. All you have to do is set your company up. They send you claims, and you give them to whoever you want to in your business to work those claims. My wife and I have talked about doing that as well. Our goal is to just have one person, just have one company, take all we can grab, and take what we think we can handle and just divvy it that way versus going in as two different companies. So that's my advice.
All right, Jeremy, go.
All right, I'll tell you what, real quick. Can you ask the question one more time?
Yeah. Okay. So, what's your advice for couples who want to do this? Should they get licensed as individuals or approach the IA firms independently, or should they get an LLC together?
Okay. No. Yeah. I heard it. I just wanted to make sure before I go on my tangent.
Roger.
As far as the first, I'll tack it to the LLC. There's no reason to get two separate LLCs. I mean, if you two are together, unless you're worried about what might happen in the future, I guess, and equity, blah blah blah. There's really no reason to complicate things by doing. Other than that, there's no reason to complicate things by doing two different LLCs. You could just get the one LLC. You're not going to have a high value company, I'm sure. There's not going to be any like assets or anything like that. So just get one company and one LLC, and that's and you could dream. Yeah, you could dream. So just do that. As far as like my thing on the teams, If you are a team, that's fine. But honestly, like even me, if I had a girlfriend or a wife, or if there was a husband or boyfriend that was traveling with me to do cat claims or anything like that, the important thing is to have your own separate work and just share the expenses. That's always what I've touted, because I could not incorporate an additional person into my thing and respectfully split the costs or split the income 50-50 without me being at a loss.
I'm with you.
Because I'm going to be, if I'm going to have a driver, I'm not going to give that person 50% of what I make. So, but other than having a driver or just having somebody that's going to do like errands for me and fill up the fridge and stuff like that, which is not worth 50% of cat pay. No. It makes more, if you're in a household, it makes so much more sense to have two individuals there working simultaneously, doing the same thing, helping each other out where is needed. But if you're doing field property, you're both going out separately, doing your field property claims, making your $300-400 a claim, and you're both coming back with 10 claims done a day. You got 20 claims done, as a whole all day as your family. You're putting money in the bank at that point. There's no sense. You're probably not going to be able to do 20 claims as an individual, even with help. But you can do it two people separately. So that's what I say go for.
So Matt, just piggyback. I didn't catch the whole question when Jeremy had you read it. As far as getting licensed, yes, both get licensed.
Yeah,
yes,
absolutely.
Both get licensed.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll take it. I'll just kind of back up what you guys are saying. Basically, I would say when I look at my workflow, like it's hard to bring a person into that. Like Jeremy was just saying, right? Like, so you've got a way you do claims, especially if you spend a lot of time by yourself, which I would say no matter what, spend time doing 2, 3, 4 storm seasons on your own before you bring on any help. And then I would say when you do, like what I would do is bring on somebody to take things off of my desk, in which really translates to taking over my desk, right? So I want this person to make contact calls for me. I want them to follow up on voicemails. I want them to make sure that my activity diaries are up to date. They're going to be an administrative person for me. I'm going to run out and do claims. I'm going to do estimates. I'm going to make settlement calls and make calls I have to, and then because I'm going to spend all day long doing that, and I'm going to have somebody. I'm going to pay them an hourly or like a day rate. Like it's something that's reasonable, that makes sense for both of us. Never going to split my fee bill with somebody. I'm going to pay them whether I'm working or not, because they're going to be working for me, making phone calls and stuff, right? So as far as the LLC goes, it depends. Some companies, especially some major IA firms, only pay a W-2. So LLC is not going to help you there. You're just going to be like Matt Allen adjuster, Matt Allen employee, basically. Only like Pilot Catastrophe, for example, considers itself to be a temporary agency, right? So you're a W-2 employee. They take taxes out. You got a 401k at Pilot, by the way, which is, I'm gonna tell you right now, is the bomb. But they don't really have any other benefits besides that, right? So if you're 1099, maybe. If you have a lot of assets, like an LLC is a thing that is, I'm not going to give financial advice on it. I personally don't have one for claims, but it's something that you guys can decide on your own. As far as getting licensed, yes, absolutely. Both of you need to get licensed and you may even both need to get certified with the carrier that you're working for. So you may have to say, is it cocktail? We got Tom Cruise over here shaking it up. So for licensing and certification, like for example, American Family, if you have an assistant, that assistant has to have the general certification for American Family before they'll let your assistant talk on the phone to their insured. And I would say get licensed as well. So in a nutshell, that's what I would do. I would bring on an assistant. And I'll say this, like to piggyback what Jeremy just said, the best case scenario is you have two couple, right? They go and they stay in the same, somebody asked about Airbnb. I'd get a bunch of adjusters in there. But as a couple, like as a married couple, if your spouse can run claims and maybe you do, I'll do 5 a day and she does 7 a day. I mean, that's 12 claims a day. Maybe I do 7 and she does 9, or maybe I do 9 and she does 7. You're pushing 20 claims a day that are going into the same checking account. Okay.
Oh,
And I mean, just
massive.
imagine, like at the end of storm season, like Halloween rolls around, and you're making plans to go visit family for Thanksgiving, and you've got double the money. You have double the
That's
money,
huge.
and then this is like the ultimate thing for me. I did a whole video about this. Have one assistant that works for both of you. They make your phone calls for both of you guys. So
Oh, man.
you both get new claims, and you have an assistant that takes care of your desk. So all you have to do is go scope, write, and settle, and go to the bank.
You ever think if you think of these crazy deployments, if like an Irma, and I know there's a handful of other people that were also in the same boat that made off Irma a couple months $250,000-$300,000.
Big time. Yeah, absolutely.
Just off that. Just
Rare,
imagine.
though.
Just
Oh my
just
gosh, both of you
imagine.
together at the $500,000.
And you have
Listen,
and
I'm gonna just to stop you right there. To everybody out there who's never run claims before, Irma was a freaking fluke. Katrina wasn't even that good. Okay, and that was like a big deal.
Yeah, just ignore everything you just heard that they just said and start lowering your back down.
That doesn't mean that it can't happen.
You're gonna be disappointed no matter what now.
And listen, if you guys if you both run flood claims, for example, you can make a lot of money doing flood on even like a minor hurricane.
Yeah, man.
If that's tropical storm and there's a lot of flooding and a lot of heavy rains, both get NFIP, one assistant. Come on, this is a business, you guys, for real. You have to think outside of the box with it. And you have to take all the pieces of it and say, how can I make the best, highest quality product I can, the claim file, in the fastest, shortest amount of time possible.
That's being a business.
That's it for this. Because we don't get paid by the hour. We get paid to be efficient.
Product. Yep.
So.
Absolutely.
All right. Let me take a look here.
Guys, make sure you're sharing this feed. Throw it on even if you don't have very many adjusters that are on your Facebook, that are on your social media accounts. Throw it up there anyway.
All right. Let's see. What other questions do we have? James, you said you had a question.
There's a mimosa. Somebody's named Mimosa.
We all want 5
James, you're muted. James, you're muted. We don't know what you're saying.
Amazing.
There he is.
You guys caught that. I was just testing y'all. That's what I was doing. So, since I appreciate the live stream, Matt and Cup, what would you recommend for alternative income for slow years?
Ugh.
I don't know what that is. I mean,
it's been your first year slow.
You're only going to be slow if you want it to be slow. I mean, I hate to be sounding egotistical and cocky and all that stuff, because I am. But guys, it goes back to this is a people business, man. Get your people skills up and go out and sell yourself, man. I mean, I will say this until I'm blue in the face. Okay. If it wasn't for good looks and personality, I could not survive in this world. It's not because I was smart. It's not because I was special. It's not because I was born with any special superpower DNAs or anything like that. This is just about being a person and going out and selling your wares. And that's what it's all about. If you just sit there and do nothing, you will continue to do nothing. Activity breeds activity. So, take it for what it's worth.
Absolutely.
So, now, with that being said, is there some decent side gigs you can do out there? Everybody knows about the gig economy. Everybody knows there's all these apps out there you can get work. Just pick and choose what you want to do. As for me, I'm going to focus on things that are going to help my skills, especially being new. Early on, one of the things I was doing early on is I signed up for it. And of course, I'm going to hear the big moan from all the guys that have been around forever. I did pilot on demand, inspectors on demand. I've done sexual. I've done all that stuff to get my skills to learn how to be good at what I do and learn something. And that's what it takes. Photo assignments. I even still do some photo assignments for.
He even does auto claims, people. I'm just
and that's where I was going next.
We got to talk, man. We got to talk.
Get into auto, man. There's auto work out there every single day, and I am in the mecca of auto appraisers and property adjusters, and I work every single day. I get property claims offered to me every day. I get auto claims offered every day. There's people sitting at home saying that I don't get any work. I can't get offers. Why am I special? I'm not.
Guys, the name of the game is sales. And what you're doing, you're looking for sales. And the sales that other people aren't willing to accept, like the Sedgwick, these photo assignments, these other things that are just beneath. other adjusters right now, you're taking those because that's adding to your sales. You know, that's it. I mean, you can't stop. It's not up to you whether or not those assignments are out there. They're out there whether you like it or not, and you're either going to profit from those assignments or you're not. And I'm sure if you could find an assignment that pays more, you're going to go with that. But if that assignment is there, if you have the capacity to handle it and to take that money from that company, why wouldn't you do that? It doesn't make any sense.
There's a $1 ice cream sundae and there's the McFlurry.
Right.
McDonald's makes money off of both.
Right, exactly.
That's right.
They're both ice cream.
Yeah.
They're both claims.
And what that being said is, you know, you determine what it is that you're willing to work for. Okay. You don't have to take these assignments. If you don't think it's worth your time and you think that, okay, I'm not going to take this property inspection assignment because by the time I do that, I can knock out 3 auto claims.
Right.
Okay. Which is what I did today. I turned down
Yeah.
a scope and right property claim because I had offered to me some time and expense semi-truck claims today. Which one's going to make me more money in the long run? It's going to be that T&E semi-truck that's been wrecked versus that scope and right claim that I'm going to get paid a flat fee for. Right. So you have to pick and choose what you want. And to the guys that sit there and go, well, you know, you're ruining this business. No, I didn't ruin it. It was already ruined before I got here.
Right.
I'm just telling you. So
yeah.
But I tell you what, you look at it this way. Oh, go ahead, James.
The last thing I want to say is that, you know, you look at the marketplace as well, and you know, without saying names or anything like that, there's companies out there that they know what the market is, and they're willing to pay you the market. And whenever you have companies that are offering you 25 to 30% lower than what everybody else is willing to pay you, you know, some of those companies are thriving and they're big and they're still doing business at that lower, paying people that lower rate. But that doesn't mean that you have to. Okay, it doesn't mean you have to take it. There are 2 or 3 firms that I will not work for, and even coming in as a new IA, I knew what my time was worth, and I wouldn't take it just because I was desperate, you know, to take work. Exactly. I chose to go someplace else and do something different. So don't take work just because somebody says, well, you don't have experience, so you're not worth this. No, you are worth it, man. I mean, look at what the average is, and don't sell yourself short. So
yeah, and I would just add, when we're talking about the downtime, what can you do in the downtime? We're doing a slow year. Stuff like photo assist, I mean, it's not the ideal. And I'm gonna tell you right now, IA firms told me, because I asked them about this, they say, listen, we want a field trained, licensed, certified professional adjusters who can make coverage decisions, answer questions, and do the whole client, the whole package. Because companies like Pilot and Sedgwick and Crawford and everybody else, they're going to make a lot more money if I go out as a full-fledged adjuster than if I'm just out there snapping pictures with my phone, right? Because, you know, the carrier is doing most of the claim. They're paying me $112 or whatever it is, right? But the thing about it is, it's like, you know, and I think the heart of the question was is like slow time stuff. Like this photo assist stuff is like, everybody has a checking account, right? And at the end of the month, right, and you look at it and you're like, how did I spend so much money? And you like scroll through your statement and you're like, everything is like, you know, 2 digits and some cents, you know, maybe 3 digits and some cents, like $135 here, but it's like $12, $3, $4, and you spent like thousands of bucks in that month, nickel and diamond. Right. With photo assist, you can, and stuff like that, you can unnickel and dime it, right? So you can kind of like nickel and dime yourself back into
it's
not
a little
quite
supplement.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So you can take the edge off of. I would say, listen, and honestly, it's not ideal. It is, and talking to IA firms last year, they were like, "This is the way everything's going. We got to jump on board. We have to do, you know, we have to put together our own programs, or we're going to get left in dust." This year, I asked the same people about it. They're like, "Well, it's not exactly working out the way the carriers exactly wanted it to. So we're kind of like, you know, we're on the fence about it. It changes. So like, wait a year, wait 2 years, wait 3 years. I'm telling you, right, technology is moving really fast right now. We can't sit here and say that drones and AI and photo assist and untrained people doing our job is going to happen, and we're going to be gone like the buggy whip. It's not necessarily true.
Right. Listen, what you got to accept is that the technology is rising, but hopefully we've all known that for quite some time. Technology is rising, and it is going to be a more difficult field for people moving forward in the future. But what you have to understand is that's not just something that just came about today. That's been the case for a very long time. That was the case when we moved from Polaroid pictures.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
And the people from that
going
day
from the
just
printed estimate to just the straight up digital only file. That was
right. It's going to be tougher. It's going to be tougher to get ahead in this industry because of the technological advances of it. So you have an option. It's to progress with the times, progress with technology. And if that means that the competition is going to narrow out because it's much harder to stay afloat with everybody else, then so be it. Then that should be more of a reason why you elevate yourself and to become more familiar with the technology that's out there and to become a better marketer and to become a better salesperson so that you can be ahead of the masses of people that are out there. This is still by far the easiest, in my opinion, at least one of the easiest industries there is to just start making $100,000 like off the bat. It's still the easiest. I could start a business in my town, a brick and mortar business right now. And I'm not guaranteed six figures my first year or my second year. I'm going to struggle. But
negative.
CAD adjusting?
Yeah. Totally.
CAD adjusting, independent adjusting, I got a good shot at that. Even with photo assists and your Sedgwicks and all this stuff going on.
Yep. It's a we'll call it like a premium tier of claims handling. Some carriers they're just not going to do photo assist. They're going to send out licensed trained adjusters. Okay, let's switch gears a little bit. Speaking of expenses, and were we speaking of expenses? E&O insurance.
E&O?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'll just start off real quick. I had an I firm say for E&O, he said, this is what I would do for E&O. E&O, for those people who don't know what E&O insurance is, it's errors and omissions insurance. It's basically professional liability, and it's supposed to cover you. Yeah, it's supposed to cover you for negligence, right? So if in a claim, if you could be proven that you were negligent, you could be liable, right? So E&O insurance covers you for that up to however millions of dollars or whatever it is. So if you are working for a company that pays W-2, you don't need to buy E&O insurance because you will be covered under their umbrella E&O policy, right? And 9 times out of 10, negligence is a pretty hard thing to prove, right? They can try it, I guess, but I think there's a pretty high standard for it. If you are 1099, I would say maybe. If you are working directly for a carrier, like if you're an adjuster, and if you can develop a relationship directly with a carrier, there's a lot of carriers out there that don't work through IA firms. They will only hire independents. Like they'll say, "Hey, Matt, I got some claims for you," right? And so you just work with the guy at the insurance company's office. 100% absolutely get an E&O insurance to protect yourself, right? And this kind of sort of fades a little bit into the LLC thing a little bit because LLC is supposed to limited liability corporation, supposed to protect you, protect your personal stuff if you happen to get taken and drug into court. Generally speaking, if you work for a big IA firm like Pilot, they've got army attorneys, and they're going to cover you with E&O insurance as well. And again, I like Jeremy. I mean, we've handled thousands and thousands of claims. I've never gone to court once, so I don't know. I know a lot of people who have, but I don't know if it's just a luck of the draw or what. But it just hasn't. It's never come up for me. I don't know. So yeah, I'll just leave it at that. Anybody else want to tackle that one?
I want to hear what James has to say since he sold it. I want to hear what James has to say about E&O insurance.
I don't have it. Insurance. It's like any other insurance. It's nobody wants it until you need it. If you never have to use it, you feel like you wasted your money. But if you have to use it one time, it's worth every time you spend. So
yeah, exactly.
Take that. What's that?
Exactly.
Yeah. So I mean, depending on what you're doing, again, if you're going to do CAT, most CAT firms now are going to make you an employee when you're out in the field. Okay. And so you're going to be covered. Doing dailies, yeah, I would definitely say I would get it, even though I don't have it. And that's just, I'm a big risk taker. I like to live dangerously, and it's my middle name. But that's
your middle name was Bubba.
Yeah, well, that's it. But that's
Dangerous.
just me. That's just, but it's just what's your appetite for risk and how confident are you that you're in an environment. I mean, also depends on where you work. There's certain areas that you work in that are more litigious than others. If you're in an area that just likes to sue everybody, and I'm going to give an example like New York, New Jersey, where everybody's suing everybody. Working in a Dallas-Fort Worth area is also an area where people sue each other a lot. I work Collin County quite a bit, and Collin County in the Dallas-Fort Worth area is you don't see a lot of that going on. So, this depends on where you're at, and I'm very picky on the claims I take. That limits my exposure to that. And I have been known on a couple of occasions that whenever I've called an insured and the insured is very combative and all I'm trying to do is set an appointment, I have actually rejected the claim because I could tell that was a lawsuit coming and I don't get paid to sit in a courtroom.
Absolutely.
So take that for what it's worth. Insurance, it's a personal choice and it just depends on what your appetite is for risk.
Well, I'll give you something on that, James. You do get paid to sit in a courtroom if you angle it that way. If
you're a professional witness.
Well, no, even if you're just being deposed, you can get paid for it. So if whether it's by the adversary or if it's by the company you work with, you will actually make more money if it's directly from the adversary. Most at least from what I've been exposed to, if you're going to a courtroom based on at the request of a company that you worked with, a IA company, you might get paid like a T&E rate based on their fee schedule. But if you go on behalf of the adversary, you can, unless you're being subpoenaed, I might be wrong here, but unless it's like a different situation, you can pretty much dictate what you would be willing to accept as an hourly rate. So right now, I have not been to go to the question, is E&O worth it? All right, so I have never. I've been paying E&O for a long time. For less of that, I've been paying for workers' comp insurance and paying for general liability insurance. I have my claims company set up as an S corp. So I draw a paycheck. I just draw a check. All right, draw a check from my own company. Everything else is kept in the business account. So I have. Let me get where I'm at. So I lost where I was at. Shoot.
Okay, next.
Yeah. So I've never actually used my insurance. Okay. Now I currently have right now 4 depositions, all based off of Irma. I have 4 depositions scheduled between next month and the following. None of those depositions that I have any impact on the E&O insurance that I have. Everything is being covered by the independent insurance company, and that's going to be the case most of the time. But there is a benefit to having at least E&O insurance, at least for me, in terms of the marketability of it. Being able to say that you carry E&O insurance and putting that somewhere on your resume where it's visible, where the person that's reading your resume can actually see that you do carry E&O insurance, that speaks volumes. Never mind the fact that some adjustment companies out there will actually dock you money per month or usually per file if you don't carry your own E&O insurance. I know some companies dock you like
Worley does that.
Yeah, like it's something like, I mean, just imagine it. Yeah, $5, which doesn't sound like much, right? $5, like who cares? But if that's with a company that you get daily claims from, and you get out of a month 30 daily claims from, you're getting 30. You use 30. What is that? $35. That's $150 a month. I don't know how much you guys, and James, I don't know how much if you know, like the cost.
$1,500 a year.
Yeah, not that much, right? So you're paying $150, so you can get that much less just by carrying your own. And for the fact that you're able to go in front of an adjustment company and say, hey, listen, I've got E&O insurance. I've not only got E&O insurance, I've got general liability insurance. I've got workers' comp. I'm fully insured. I've got that right on my resume right now that I'm fully insured. That not only shows that not only gives you the ability to dodge the liability of anything that happens, but it shows that you're committed. You're committed to the industry. You're not just one of these momos that are just trying to make a bunch of money in this business. You're in it for the long haul. You're in it and you're committed. And to me, it's definitely worth it. And even Hurricane Michael, second day in. It's the second day in. I'm expecting to make a bunch of money off all these houses that are just devastated. What happens on like my first or second claim of the day? I'm in a rush, and I don't know how this happened. I got videos of it on my Facebook. I don't know how it happened, but single-story ranch, slab house. I set my 11-foot ladder up. I go to get up, Matt, and I go to take my shingle gauge photo. I realize I don't have my shingle gauge in my pocket. I'm like, shit. Got to go back to the truck and get it. I'm on the last rung of the ladder. I'm no more than 12, 16 inches from the ground. I jump off, do like a little turn, like got to get to my truck, and I break my foot. 12 inches from the ground. As soon as it was my left foot and the side where my pinky toe is. Soon as that just hit the ground, pop, broke. I hit the ground, scraped my knee. The insured comes outside. They're like, is everything okay? And I just straight up said, I think I broke my foot. Never broke a bone in my body. And they're like, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I think I'm fine. And I went to my truck and I sat there and I put my head down and immediately the adrenaline started to slow down and the blood rushed up. And I'm like, shit. Needless to say, I'm a professional. I got back out there. I get on the middle roof. I finish my inspection. I do the whole thing. With
a big old balloon on you coming out the top of your boot.
Yeah, I was in terrible shape.
Oh, man.
But at that moment, it's good to say that at that moment, I did not carry workers' comp insurance. So everything went to my personal health insurance. So after that was exhausted, I still ended up paying a couple $1,000s in the end between, everything. A couple $1,000s in the end. That would have been taking, and I had workers' comp, or no, I only had workers' comp shortly after that. But all of that could have been taken care of if I would have just spent a couple extra bucks a month on workers' comp insurance. And that's why, especially if you're doing property field claims, getting on roofs is worth it.
Right, yeah, for sure. So listen, the thing is that your insurance is about transferal of a risk. That's any insurance that you buy. Yeah. You are saying to another company will say, pay me a monthly fee and I'll take on this risk for you. That's it. That's all it is. So when you make decisions about whether or not you're going to do that, it's up to you. It's transferal of risk, what you are comfortable with. So, okay, we'll do one more question and then we're going to kind of wrap it up here because people are starting to turn in pumpkins. Daniel Hobner says, what IA firms pay the best? Top 5. Chris, go.
Oh, you're not going to get me to take that bait. There's no way.
James, no way.
Go. Which IA firms pay the best? Whichever one that you like the most.
And the one that you negotiate with.
Yeah.
Right. So, there's
no answer to that.
Until you know what their fees are, you don't know who pays the best. If some company says, yes, I'm going to pay you 80%, but if they're 80% of a crap fee schedule, then you're making less money than if somebody's paying you 50% of a great fee schedule.
Exactly.
So, unless you know what the fee schedule is, then now on the auto side, okay, that's very easy for me, but I'm not going to tell everybody that. Basically, everybody pays the same, except for one or two companies. It's all within about $5 a claim of each other. And, just pick your poison and who you want to work with and who you like the most and who likes you the most and run with them. And that's pretty much it. Right. Chris, did you have a question?
It's not about the fee as much as it's about how pleasant it is of the company to work with. How easy,
that's
how
a big
fast
part
I
of
can
it.
close a claim. If I can close 10 at one companies and they pay me $5 less than somebody else, I'm going to go with them.
It's about the speed.
I've got one company that pays me I've got one company that pays me more than anybody else. I love them. They're my favorite firm to work with, but they pay me the slowest. Okay. But I love working with these guys.
Yeah.
They pay me well. They're fun to work with. I love everybody there. As far as I know, they love me because they haven't cut me off yet. And then there's another company that I really like. They pay me really, really fast. They pay me a little bit less. There's a little bit more work to do, but I love them because they pay me so fast. So yeah, again, it just depends. And then there's one company out there that I won't say that wants to pay me 35% less, and I've got to do a claim for, and I'm not going to say them out loud, so because Chris is friends with them. But so Chris, I want to get to Chris real fast. I know that Chris has a question that somebody asked him about IA Path.
Oh, wait, we're gonna end with the whole thing there, but Matt's got the final. Matt's got the final question, I guess.
All right, final question. So, where'd it go? Daniel again. How is coronavirus impacting the IA industry? Less adjuster ready for deployment. So I'll just touch on this really quick. I have been, and Chris has also done some interviews with a couple of IA firms. I talked to Pilot today, and I talked to two other IA firms, and basically what they are telling me right now today, which again, this could absolutely change 5 minutes from now, is that insurance adjusters are an essential service.
Yeah.
For whatever that's worth, right? So we're not going to be restricted. They're not going to say you're going to have to shut down your dining room, or whatever it is. Also, some IA firms are issuing some documentation to field adjusters so that if they get pulled over by authorities, and if you're in a state or a locality where they are restricting travel, that you can say to the police officer or whoever it is, here's my documentation saying that I'm on
Florida.
Official business, essential services businesses or whatever. Yeah, so whatever state it is. So right now, and Pilot said that they're like, we're still deploying field adjusters. We still have people inside, outside, CAT and daily. And that they have opportunities and need and a whole list of states. And part of, we're going to do a news thing this weekend, and I'll be sharing with you guys what those states are and where that stuff is. So that's what I know at this moment. So what do you guys got? Anything different?
Well, I'll tell you what, man, and I'm just spitting in the wind here. Do any of you three know exactly what the landscape looks like for unemployment insurance as far as what we do, and if there's
if you're W-2, you can get it. If you're just 1099,
sure. No, but what I'm saying is, as far as we go with deployment opportunities, you understand that there's an unemployment office that is staffed for normal circumstances.
Right.
But obviously, we're in unprecedented times right now, and there are lots and lots of people applying for unemployment insurance right now. How do they withstand the onslaught of unemployment applications that are coming through? And does that pose a deployment opportunity, a nationwide, even outside of the possibility of whatever percentage of BI claims that may come in, even outside of that? Does the unemployment thing pose anything for us as far as potential long-term income?
Sure. I think there's going to be a lot of interesting opportunities. James?
No, I couldn't answer that question, but as far as if you're an adjuster and your work has been impacted by this disaster, I know that part of this bill that they have is they're taking care of people in the quote unquote gig economy. And I wish I would have, and they're actually going to consider people who are independent contractors in any sort as being part of that gig economy.
Absolutely.
So if you're somebody that that works every day, I think there may be some relief for you if you've had a drop in income and you can prove you've had that drop in income. I think there's going to be something out there for you as far as unemployment insurance right now. But as far as is this going to create opportunities for us as adjusters? I don't know, man. I do property and cars. I don't do sick people, so I don't know if it's going to do anything for me.
I don't know. Yeah, could be a thing though.
Yeah, I know. So that's all I got, man.
Well, listen. I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and wrap this up. So just so everybody knows, everybody who's still left on here, how can we get in touch with you guys? Chris, like what's what do you got going on? What opportunities do you have over at IA Path? And how can people kind of get involved with what you got going on?
I'm going to throw in a question. That's what James was talking about earlier. We had a question submitted, Bill, specifically about an iPath product, so I didn't just want to bring it up in general questioning. But basically, Peter asked, do you have any testimonials of students who are actually working full time that are able to say that, hey, this actually worked, and it's not just a big sham to try to get started as an IA, whether through iPath or otherwise? Is this really working? Well, we've all told our story of how we've all gotten started in various ways, but James is a testimony of iPath and getting started on the auto side. He was already an independent adjuster. We also have a bunch in the community who answered the question for you, Peter, and I'm going to email you those answers personally for you. But yeah, we have a lot that get started. But ultimately, like we've all said 100 times tonight, no matter what program you do, no matter what training you do, no matter what IA firm you start with, ultimately your success is dictated by how well you market yourself and how persistent you are and how aggressive you are in pursuing business, because it's your business. So it doesn't matter who you got in your corner if you're not going out into the fight, right? We can't do that for you. So, whether you want to jump into our online mentorship, that's what we do. So across 90 days, we set you up with an online mentorship and help you get started. Great. That's fantastic. Or whether you want to go to Adjuster University or Adjuster Pro and take some of those courses or kind of piece it all together and do something great. Cool. But ultimately, you got to fight that battle on your own.
So to add to that real quick, and I am a testimony as to what it takes, to succeed with Chris's mentorship program. Come in, don't overthink what he teaches you. Just take what he tells you as face value. That's it. It's kind of like whenever you're sitting there watching TV, your wife walks in and asks you, "What are you doing?" I'm watching TV. I'm not actually in the back of my mind trying to overthrow the universe. Don't overthink stuff. Just take it for what it is. Whenever you take these classes, and just do what he tells you to, and just be dumb. That's I'll be honest with you. The best way to succeed in this business is to be dumb, and don't.
There's truth to that.
Don't overcomplicate what you learn, what you're taught, what you're doing out there, because when you overthink, you make it more complicated. And I'm a testament to that. Again, if it weren't for good looks and personality, I couldn't survive, because it makes you're not smart. And Chris's program has opened doors for me. I do work with Chris every day, so I work with Matt, and they're great guys to work with. But again, you got to market yourself. No matter what you learn out there, you have to market yourself.
So we got a IA firm that has hired and employed IAs that have gone through Chris's IA Path, and I just posted their comment right on the screen, because he's actually, well, I won't say where he is because you probably don't want me to say where he is, but anyway, yeah, it's legit. It's a real deal. So, okay, so Jeremy, talk to us about what you got going on, man. How can people kind of find out more about what you have?
Yeah, man. So I'll tell you what, obviously I'm the Adjuster University guy, but right now, just to make things simple for you, we just put up I'm a licensed adjuster nowwhat.com. And all that is, it just redirects you to our the webinar that we have right now. And the purpose of the overall message of the webinar that we have at that website, I'm a licensed adjuster nowwhat.com, is to teach adjusters. If you're a new adjuster, you're looking to get that first claim, or you're looking to get started, you heard about the money that's in independent adjusting and you want to get ahead, or you're struggling, you've been at it, you got your license, whether it's a week ago or 6 months ago, but you're not getting that money that you thought that you would be getting. The free class is 100% free class that I host. It's about an hour long. It goes over everything that you need to know about taking yourself to that next level. It's everything that I needed. I've been in the game for almost 10 years now. It's everything that I've learned in retrospect of how to take yourself from the point of getting your license, whether it's Texas or wherever, getting your license and getting to the point where not only do you have an adjusting company coming after you and giving you claims, so it's to the point where you have multiple. adjusting companies coming at you. You have a list of companies that that are coming to you, looking for work, looking for you to help them, and how to properly communicate with them, how to properly market yourself to them, and just like James was saying in this message, in this live feed, how to sell yourself to them, how to get them to know you and to trust you and to give you that work, because that's ultimately what we want in this industry, is to get work. We're not doing this for fun. We're doing this to make money. We're doing this to be successful. And in order for us to make money and be successful in this game, we need to understand how to market ourselves to these companies, how to get ourselves in front of them, and how to win them over. So I'm a licensed adjuster now.com. What we do, it's a free course. It's a free crash course. It's 1 hour long to teach you in just an hour. I can't teach you everything that I've learned in my 10 years in that 1 hour, but I've condensed it down to a 1 hour webinar where I can give you as much as I possibly can to get you to where you need to go. So if you're new and you haven't gotten a claim, or you're still in that sort of beginning stage where you're in that beginning incubation stage, and you want to get ahead, you want to be able to say that you actually make 6 figures a year, or even make $250,000 a year or more, that's where you got to go. I'm a licensed adjuster now.com. If you don't go there, go to adjuster-university.com. That's me, Jeremy Reddig, and that's my shtick.
Very nice, very nice. James, you got anything? So James, again, he's got a YouTube channel, and he's actually been a correspondent. But I just asked you to tell, and I'm going to tell clearly. So
yeah, just you go ahead and do it.
By the way, real quick, James, I just want to say that I've watched all the NACA videos, and I love them, because I haven't been to NACA in a few years, and they're great.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. I couldn't have done it without Matt. So you can reach me. Of course, you can check out my YouTube channel, which is Claims Junkie. Soon I will have a website up and going. I keep saying that, but it'll be up soon, which is claimsjunkie.com. You can also reach me at just jhmathis@me.com, because it's all about me. Or you can reach me at james@iapath.com, because I do work with Chris Stanley and in IAPath. And guys, let me tell you this. I am an IA. I work every day. That's where I earn my money. That's where I earn a living. That's how I feed the 3 dogs that I showed earlier today to these guys. I have my fun with the money I earn as an adjuster. That's what I do. Matt, I have fun with Matt and work with him. I've had a blast working with him this past year, or this past few months, and I've been lucky and blessed and honored that I've got to hang out with these guys. Again, I'm nobody special. Just got lucky that I got to meet some cool guys and hang out with them. I'm just the yuck monkey around here, basically. Chris, I help Chris at IAPath. If you guys have questions about the program, you want to talk to somebody who's been through it, who's succeeded at it, and can tell you everything you need to know about the program and what it takes to really survive in it, give me a shout. And again, you can reach me at james@iapath.com to ask me questions about IAPath. And there's some guys in chat here. One of them is Jason Revere. You can reach out to him. Jason Revere. So the story behind Jason Revere, real fast, I'm just going on a little tangent. When I met Matt last year in Dallas, Jason Revere was at that little meeting whenever we met Matt, and Jason lives in Shreveport, Louisiana. I'm in Dallas, Fort Worth, and we've stayed in contact. And now Jason is going through IAPath at this time. So he's drank some of the Kool-Aid, and he's come to join the dark side. So that's all I got, guys. Reach out, touch me. Hopefully we post some more videos soon, more content. I love you guys. Thanks for letting me hang out. Jeremy, I've been reading your stuff. I've enjoyed some of your stuff and your YouTube videos, and hope we can collaborate on some stuff soon.
Yeah, man, definitely.
Thanks.
Very cool. So, and just to kind of wrap everything up, I'll just kind of give you guys a little bit of a heads up about, because you're here and you're watching this, Adjuster TV is pretty much dedicated to producing more content, video content for the independent adjusting industry. And that's one of the reasons why I've been reaching out to these guys to try and collaborate with them, because I want to kind of bring everybody into a place. You have websites like catadjuster.org, you got Facebook or whatever. But I think for me personally, like, I'm on YouTube all the time. And if I want to learn how to chop wood, or if I want to learn how to make a martini, I'm getting on YouTube, right? How to, whatever. I think a lot of people come here, and I think that our particular industry, I feel like it needs something that is a little bit more, right? So some really cool video content, which is, and again, back to the very beginning when I first started this, I wasn't quite sure like what my vision was. It was just like, hey, I want to jump in, and I want to help new people. I'm going to try and do it with video, and it's kind of evolving. So I just saying all of that to say that coming up this year, later on, probably early summer, I've got something super cool that I think you guys are really going to like. It's some more like much higher quality content than what, the stuff that I do now. I feel like is the best I can do with the resources that I have. But I'm producing some more content that it's a lot more focused on helping you guys learn things in a much more entertaining way. And I'm just going to kind of leave it at that. But if you've looked at AdjusterTVPlus.com, or if you've seen the notification on my website, there's a red bar across the top. Adjuster TV Plus is basically what that's going to be. And I don't want to, give away anything else besides that right now. But just stay tuned, and if you want to like be notified early when that stuff is going to start to come out, and when you're going to be able to get early access to that, just go to AdjusterTVPlus.com, put your name and email address, and then you'll be like on a little list. So which will be super cool. But anyway, obviously you guys can come to AdjusterTV.com and check out what I've got going on, and I try to put up videos. I got videos from Chris every week now. James is helping me as a correspondent, and like I said, tomorrow I'm putting up a video, kind of a rebroadcast of one of Jeremy's videos, where he walks us through a water claim, start to finish, and that's including like he shows the photos that he takes, explains why he took those photos, and why maybe this photo is a good photo and this photo is maybe not a great photo. He shows going through his building a sketch and how to use macros, right? Which is, this is one of those things that I'm talking about. Yeah. When we're talking about not moving faster, but doing things in less time, macros and like template estimates and things like that are a massive time saver for that. So tomorrow's video is going to be on Adjuster TV. It's going to be all about that, and it's a longer video. It's almost 30 minutes long, so there's a lot of it's solid, good thing that you can just kind of like sink your teeth into. I'm really excited about that video. So thank you so much, Jeremy, for collaborating on that. I really appreciate that, and I think that people are going to get a lot of value out of that. But other than that, that's pretty much it. I hope you guys have really enjoyed doing this, and I know I had a lot of fun, and hopefully it was valuable to the folks that are watching and the people that are going to watch the replay. But with that, I'll sign off and say see ya, and everybody else, we can just kind of put her to bed.
Thanks for being here, guys.
Great, guys.
Thanks for letting me be here.
Thank you so much for coming in tonight.
Take care.
Take care, you guys, and we'll see you.
Take care of yourself and take care of each other.
Remember to sanitize.
And keep reaching for the stars.